We're so back. It's never been more back. Oh yeah, I wanted to do this before I did Fire Emblem tier list. So, a few months ago, I made an update video where I went over a bunch of the games I played, and this is so funny because one of these games I played for literally 3 months straight now, and two of these games I beat in one day each. So I played Sonic Forces. That was kind of fun, honestly. It's a pretty poorly made game, but I think I'm gonna put it like right here. I think it's my favorite Sonic game. It's just real easy. That's kind of all there is to it. It's just like you just go through the game and the game plays itself, and then like you get so used to it being like a slideshow game that at a certain point you stop trying, and then you die because you're just so used to it just going forward for you. The music kicks ass. It's a Sonic game. I think Sonic Forces is pretty epic. I also played DMC3 in one night. I played it on the easy Goo Goo Gaga baby mode. I did not like the game at all. It's not for me, but it's mostly because I'm not good at games. It actually kind of makes you be a little good. I really like the moments with Virgil. Like whenever you fight Virgil in the sewer and like on the pillar and like in the sewer again, it's pretty epic. He feels like a fighting game to me instead of like a beat 'em up game, like mash 'em up. This feeling of like he like reacts to what you do, which means that you set the tempo of the fight. But like that doesn't mean that you can just like bait him in and then get him, because if you try to do that too much, he'll punish you. It's really fun trying to fight Virgil in that game. But like everything else about the game was pretty boring, and I didn't really like the like world puzzle map elements of it. It's like Resident Evil. That's fine, but it's just not for me. I don't like the blending of them either, because you have to constantly fight enemies as you like backtrack around and like explore the castle. I mean, like some of the puzzles are like so annoying that there's like one room where like it was simpler to finish the puzzle by just restarting the game from the last save point and then doing one thing differently, and it's like that's the kind of shit that I hate. It's not for me. I don't know where I'd put it though. I'd probably put it down here. I didn't like it. And then finally, Fire Emblem Awakening. I'm thinking about making like a full vid recommending this game to people. I've played it for 3 months straight now, and I'm honestly only just now I think done with it, and I think that's because I beat Apotheosis. So there is no like further goal, because I don't really enjoy Lunatic or Lunatic Plus, so there's nothing further to look forward to. I guess I could do challenges, obviously. I could do like Myrmidon only, Tagwell only. That would probably be worth a goof or a gaff, but I think I'm pretty much done with it. I'm going to put this in A tier, honestly. I like this game. Let me move this so it's like, yeah, there we go. Not as much as Ratchet and Clank, but I really do like this game. It's pretty goated. You have like so much fun you can do with it if you play on hard or normal, where like you can just choose how to build your team. And because of that, each playthrough you can like take the same units and then run them through different class lines. Like I've had Sully run through Great Knight to Paladin on one where she married Chrom so that she could support him the entire game, because those are like support classes. But then I've had Sully's where I take her maybe to get Luna, and then I take her over to like Swordmaster and Assassin so that she can be like a frontline fighter. You get that kind of customization within each unit, and like the way that you can pass down skills and classes to the second gen is really cool. It gets better with DLC because then you have the freedom to just go grind. So you, with like DLC, you can do something like getting Gale Force on like 3 Gen 2 guys, and like also pass down things like Luna so they don't have to grind for it. And then you get to run like an Inigo that has like Luna and Gale Force, and then like maybe Arms Drift, and then you can run him through like Sniper because he's Stall's kid. Whereas, like, in the base game, yeah, there are some interesting class options. Like, Kellum has, like, Thief and Priest, so that he can get, like, movement options from Thief, and Renewal from... But it doesn't really end up mattering like that because you're not gonna second seal kill them and you're not gonna run them through like 4 different class lines. But like, if you have the DLC and you plan on going to like future past and stuff, you might actually run characters through like 7 different classes to get different like skills for different reasons. It's like cool. I think that in general, Awakening's biggest flaw is just that once you've played it one time, the first like 5 chapters suck ass. Like the Exiled and the King chapter 5, I think is what it's called. Like once until you get past that, the game is just very monotonous because you don't have any customization options to your team. It's like, oh, do I use Vike or do I use underdog stall over here who gets no speed growth? I don't know. You're pretty limited in terms of your like flexibility of team building. It's not until you get to like chapter 6 that it really opens up. It's also when you get access to I think beating chapter 5 gives you the map that lets you buy hand axes and javelins too. And you have to beat chapter 4 to get the DLC open. So like you're basically until you beat chapter 5, you're kind of like struggling to get options to make the game fun. I think that's like Awakening's biggest flaw. I got a text, let me check that out real quick. It's weird that I don't have that much to say about it. I think if you somehow see this and you're wondering if Awakening's for you and you like, I know I have quite a few people here from my Pokemon videos, right? It's like, it's about the level of difficulty of like a Pokemon ROM hack, I would say. Like if you like play Radical Red and that shit's like too hard and you kind of like that it's really hard, I would recommend Awakening. It's about that level. It's like not really tough, but it's like compared to like a vanilla Pokemon game, it's like fucking insanely hard. But it's still pretty easy. The game gives you a lot of things like pair up to just kind of cheese the game. I will say that if you're getting into Fire Emblem Awakening, probably try to ignore the Iron Man mentality. Despite what a lot of classic Fire Emblem fans would say, I really disagree with the idea that Awakening was designed with classic in mind. So there's like classic and casual, which is the distinction between your units dying, being dead forever, and them not. And like, I think that in certain games, they're very obviously designed around that because you get tons of units the entire game. You get like late game pre-promotes that just come in like the legendary Pokemon, right? Like the legendary birds in Gen 1 that are just already trained up and pretty strong and good enough to help you through like the Elite Four. But like Awakening doesn't really do this. Awakening does not do that at all. Like your late game pre-promotes are like Sayuri, Tiki, Flavia, and Basilio, and they're all like good enough to add to your team, but they're not carries. Like Tiki and Sayuri in particular are fucking ass for like the points in the game they join. I think they're fine, obviously, because all you have to do is give them a few levels and they start going, and they do come, like, with good enough stats to contribute immediately, which is better than a lot of units in the game, but, like, you don't have an insane amount of pre-promotes to rely on. All your second-gen recruits are dependent on the first-gen, so if you lose Cynthia, or Sumiya, you lose Sumiya and Cynthia. You know, stuff like that. The game has like a really negative feedback loop and a really positive feedback loop if you do well or bad. Which I think is why people call Awakening like the hardest and easiest game at the same time in the series. Because if you know what you're doing, it becomes trivial, but the moment you make one mistake, it snowballs out of control in a bad way. That's why I really do not recommend Classic. Especially for new people. At least with Awakening. But yeah, that's games I've played since. Look at this list. I added 3 games in 3 months. Surely I spent 1 month on each, right? Dude, I've got Cottonmouth like crazy. Alright, this is Awakening Units. So I guess I'll just talk about in-game and like late game DLC application, but I'll rank them for in-game and then just say if they're good or not in the DLC like type era where you're like hyper optimizing for like the best units in the game. Robin Crom is the main character. I'd say use S+ tier for an in-game playthrough. He's not the strongest, he's not the fastest, he's not the tankiest, but he's got like a good enough mix of all the attributes combined with good skills like Dual Strike Plus and Aether, Rifle King, and Charm to an extent, that he pretty much makes it work. He's got supports that work perfectly. Like if you want to make him, he's got the male supports for Gaius and Vike, which works fine enough, and then he's got Sumiya, Sully, and Robin. Either way that you go with him is good enough. He's like him and Vike make a really good combo because he gives Vike speed and Vike gives him strength. I'd say the biggest attribute Crom has is that he has access to the convoy, and the fact that you get him early so he just has time to build up experience naturally. He's forced to point on every map, otherwise I would definitely bench him most playthroughs, but you don't get the option to, so you might as well make him work. And he's like pretty good. Like I've only had 1 or 2 playthroughs where he was like the weak link that I had to like get to the finish line. Most of the time he's contributing like more than some of the units that like I choose out to use because I want to use them. And he's doing that just off of 20 levels of Lord and 20 levels of Great Lord, like a simple Master Seal. And that's it. But you even have good other class options, like you have Sniper for longbow cheese if you go to the DLC, because then you have infinite longbow, so you can actually like use snipers. And he's a pretty good sniper because of Bowfair, it makes him a little bit stronger. And like Aether Luna stacking with a longbow is pretty crazy. You've got Dreadfighter if you want to give him strength. Every male is like better than they would be otherwise because they have Aggressor, but it's kind of equalizer. So I'm not going to count that too strongly. And then if you want to make him a support unit, Great Knight and Paladin are good for their own reasons. Great Knight is like physical defense and movement, and Paladin is like the best stats in the game. Like a shit ton of strength, skill, speed, and like some defense. Like every character likes that. No character doesn't benefit from that pair up. But yeah, Crom is amazing. Dual Strike Plus also means he actually levels as a backpack, which is pretty unique. Usually if you like dedicate one of your units to backpacking another unit, you have to get them to a certain point to where they can damage enemies for the rest of the game, which is usually about 20 or so in a stat. You need about 20 or more to be doing chip damage until the end of the game and continue leveling. Otherwise you hit a point where your backpack literally does no damage, because they don't get parrot bonuses in the support slot. And because of the fact that Crom has Dual Strike, he actually levels while in the back unit. Not as fast, but he actually does continue to gain levels, so if you get lucky with good strength levels while Crom is backpacking, you never even have to use him. And just him being adjacent to someone gives them access to the convoy. So like putting like Crom on Frederick's back and then just having Frederick convoy a bunch of healing items is like an actual strat. It's really powerful. I think for in-game, Robin is strong enough that they're S plus tier. They're like the second best unit in the game, or the best, depending on what you consider. I think that for an in-game playthrough, like where you're just trying to beat Grima, I think you should go male Robin so that you get two superpowered children. But if you're going for like Apotheosis and you want the like most optimized team, you should go for female Robin. Basically, female Robin creates a male Morgan, as long as you don't marry Chrom, that can S support Lucina for guaranteed dual strike plus. That Morgan can inherit Gale Force, and then they can get Aggressor from Dreadfighter. So they're the only male unit in the game. They're one of the only male units in the game that can get all of Gale Force, Aggressor, and S support with a dual strike plus character, which is Lucina. And because they're Robin's kid, they're just going to be one of the strongest units in the game with any skills they want. So they get like Ignis, which is like the best proc skill. And then they get like Infinite Arms Drift because of Limit Breaker. So you can do things like Forge Celica's Gale and give that to them while they're in Mage. If you want to support Lucina better, you could go Grandmaster, and then you have like Infinite Brave Swords, Infinite Levin Swords, Infinite Vol Flame for the magic stack. It's pretty crazy. But for in-game, I think Male Robin is slightly better. It's like the same thing anyways, and you don't really need Gale Force to beat the game. Like, for getting to Grima, you don't really need Gale Force. But for the DLC, it's obviously better. On the DLC, you want as much Gale Force as possible. I actually think if your unit doesn't get Gale Force, they're not S tier for the DLC. I should also mention that Chrom is... I don't know. I don't think I'm going to keep mentioning the DLC. I think I'll just do one of that on its own. I'm going to take this off here. Listed as your healer. As long as your units are taking damage, your healers level up without taking away combat experience. So they basically get free experience without taking away kills from the rest of your team. Which is pretty significant because units like Donald, units like Vike have to sit there and be fed kills, which takes away experience from someone else. But Lisa never runs into that issue unless you have multiple healers. And even then, multiple healers means that you can just have multiple staff users, so you don't necessarily need to be healing. You can have a staff user that's dedicated to rescue and a staff user that's dedicated to healing. You can even have a ward bot if you want for someone like Vike that has no res. So, yeah, there's no competition, you know. And once you get to buyable rescue, you can level up any staff user by just buying them rescues. It's basically like you buy a rescue staff and that's a level. Like for in-game where you're not going to like level 60 or whatever. For every character to try and max out their stats. Like in-game, a rescue staff is pretty much always a level's worth of experience. Frederick's obviously S tier, obviously. Frederick is easy S tier. He has speed issues, but he kind of struggles to double enemies early on, and he gets doubled the moment you run into promoted enemies. But like, it really can't be understated that you have a character that can just kind of delete enemies for the first 5 chapters. And even if you bench him and don't use him at all until like chapter 5, you can just pull him out and he's like good enough. You can't fuck him up. He falls off pretty noticeably hard, but I think the big thing is that because of the way pair up works, I think Frederick is an ideal unit because he starts off really strong, and then once he falls off, he can just give stats to another character as a backpack. And Great Knight is good enough. If you actually used him until he falls off, then you can second seal him to another class. And Paladin has like the best pair up bonuses in the game. General is a pretty good pair up class. I think that people kind of underestimate the ability. I mean, I don't know. I think people understand that giving a massive amount of defense to a unit can kind of help them with a lot. I think in general speed is the best pair up stat to give, but General is just a lot of attack and defense. For a unit like someone like Long Ku or Pan, that can be kind of massive. And then obviously you got Wyvern if you want to make him a flyer. But I mean, he's just good. He's not the same level of S tier the whole game, which I think is a distinction. He's not like Robin, right? Once Robin overtakes Frederick, he never ever is in the same boat of like OP combat ever again. But he's still useful the entire game. Let's see, that's the prologue. Who do you get in chapter 1? It's Sully, right? Sully is a solid B tier unit. She's the bottom tier, but that's not a bad thing, because no unit in Awakening is bad. She has an interesting class line selection. She's got Cavalier, Myrmidon, Wyvern. Overall, I have no clue what they were really going for with her, like, design-wise. Her character is all about becoming, like, the best paladin ever. To, like, call back to reference to an older Fire Emblem guy. But then her classes just don't really have that much synergy. You can go for proc stacking with her, I guess, which is kind of cool. Like, you can get Astra, Lethality, and Luna, and then use a crit weapon. That's a pretty cool in-game build, but it's just alright. She's one of Crom's few marriage candidates, and for in-game, that's fine. They both have Paladin if each one of the other ones wants to go into a Great Lord Crom. You can go Paladin solely. That's a pretty good combo, but I mean, the Sumia pair-up's right there. She doesn't have Gale Force. Not that it matters. Interestingly enough, she's one of the only characters I think that actually gives their child an extra class, because their child's in a class that they're not, which is Knight. She's Sully's, or Kjell's mother, which means you might use her just so that Kjell's starting stats are better. But without DLC grinding, that's going to be a minimal impact. And really, I think Kjell is more dependent on her father than her mother. If you want Kjell to be something really good, you gotta, like, for in-game, you want to class change her out of Knight in general. And you want to get her, like, maybe 3 Great Knights, which is going to be probably something her father gives her. Wyvern's okay, but it's kind of unfortunate. Sully does make for a good Swordmaster and Assassin. And it's good to run her through Myrmidon, the 10 levels to get to one of those classes if you want Kjell to be faster. The speed growth will help a lot. But overall, it's like, she is really weak when she joins. She's like she's not enemy phasing when she joins. She has really shaky growths. She's like a very variable character. She's either like one of your best units or one of your worst. Or just okay. Like, she's not very consistent. And then her, like, finalized class lines are just, like, okay. Like, Wyvern, Lord, Paladin, or Assassin. It's okay. She doesn't get access to Soul, though, which I think is what holds her back the most for in-game. She isn't particularly tanky, and she doesn't have HP recovery, so she's, like, okay. Who else do you get in Chapter 1? It's Virion. Virion is a solid A tier unit. I think the differentiation between A and B tier is whether you start strong and then kind of middle out, or if you start weak and then get stronger. Because of the way experience and growths work, any character has like a ceiling that's like good enough to beat the game. So it's more about where you start and about your unique qualities. So I think Virion starts good because he can do chip damage immediately with a bow, which in the early game means he doesn't take any chance of counterattack. And he sets up kills for other units that need the experience, like Sully, Muriel, Sumia. Your really weak shit units that like have to grow. The issue is that if you chip with Virion instead of kill, he's going to fall behind enough to the point to where he's not chipping enemies, and he's not doing damage to the strong enemies. There is a point where Virion just stops doing damage if you use him to chip, which is why he's an A tier. But I think he's a very solid unit when he joins. I think people just don't really want to use him, because I think they see that like he's like pervy and they just like dislike him. But like he's a fine unit. He gives Wyvern and Mage access to his kids, which is interesting. But overall, Virion is just very, very okay. The issue again is that he starts with like very middling stats, and he only has okay growths, which he's not going to see a lot because he's going to have a hard time leveling himself. That's kind of why I think Virion is not the best. But he's certainly good. Chapter 2 is Viking. Where is he? So I shit on Viking. I love this post I made. I slapped this together. I didn't draw that, by the way. I don't know who did. It's just funny. This is like the favorite thing I've ever made in my life. Vike is a very good unit, obviously. He's got the highest strength mod of any Gen 1 male. Which means if you want your daughter to have really good physical strength, you have to use Vike. Like, Severa Vike, especially for the DLC. But it just makes her fucking hit like a truck. She's gonna end up as like one of your strongest units if you do that. And he himself has like some of the highest damage in the game. Like as a Berserker, I think he has like a 50-something strength cap, which is fucking nuts. And he's got hammer, so he's hitting hard with like his base weapon too. I really don't see the vision with Thief. Barbarian and Berserker are very useful in their own right. He's got Warrior if you want to get bows. I would just stick to Berserker and Hero, personally, but you got that. He's a Death Boil unit, which for endgame with no DLC is pretty valuable. Although he has like some of the worst luck in the game, so... Don't know about that, but, you know, he's got it. But yeah, he's really slow. He's inaccurate. Takes forever to get him to Soul. And then once you get him to Soul, he's one of the least skilled Soul users, so he's not going to trigger it as often. Despite being tanky, quote-unquote, if you're not doubling consistently, then you're not tanking, right? Because if the enemy ever doubles you, you lose all your bulk. To be an efficient tank, you have to be fast enough to avoid being doubled. And Vike like needs a pair up to do that. He requires a pair up to do that. Which is why I can't put him in S. Because if he... I don't know. There's some argument for him to be better, but he requires a pair up. I get that that's not the biggest issue in a game where you have like 12 deployment slots by the mid game, and like it's the optimal strategy to low man. But I just really I don't feel right putting him much higher when he like at the very minimum requires a speed pair up to not get doubled at a certain point. Who else is in chapter 2? It's Stall. So Stall hits pretty hard, but he's really slow. He's essentially a Sully, but they swap. Sully's like faster, and Stall is stronger, which makes Stall worse. He's like a pseudo-Vike, where he hits really hard once you get him going, but you don't have the speed, so you require a speed pair up. He swaps Wyvern for Archer, which is interesting. Because he runs through other class lines before going over to Archer, he has time to actually get growths. So, like, you could run him do the Sully thing where you get Luna and then go over for Astra and Lethality, and end him as, like, a sniper that can proc stack with longbows, which is pretty nutty. It's a very strong ceiling, but you'd have to run him through so many classes. Realistically, you would get him through Luna, and then Astra, and then end on Assassin. You wouldn't have enough experience left to get him to Sniper. But he's certainly interesting to use, I guess. He just starts really slow, which sucks. And then he's a growth unit in this game, which like everyone else is. He's not very compelling. He's also very boring. It's one of the reasons I don't really use him. At least Sully looks cool. Stahl is just like a normal dude. You know, he's the Peter Parker of this universe. And then, surprise, you actually get another unit in this map. So Muriel's big advantage is that she starts with 1-2 range, so you can immediately use her more easily than Sully and Stahl. But more importantly, she has Dark Mage access, and anyone with Dark Mage access can't be in the bottom tier, because Nosferatu is like brain dead and overpowered in the main game. Not to mention the fact that she gets to take really good traits into Dark Mage. So if you second seal her from Mage to Dark Mage, then you take Magic 2 and Focus, and then you combine that with like Hex and Anathema and Vengeance, and she's incredible. If you promote her to Sage, then you get to take a Rally and Tome Fair into Sorcerer, along with Magic 2 and Focus, which the Magic, like the Mage to Sage and the Dark Mage to Sorcerer lines, are all very conducive. They all work very synergistically. So you get to choose whether or not you take those attributes into the classes. But yeah, your mages are really easy to level up as long as you, like, just don't expose them to as long as you don't try to enemy phase with your mage, you're fine. But I mean, it is a little tough. You have to know where to put them. It's not quite S tier or A tier. You know, it's not quite plug and play. But once you get her over to Dark Mage and you can buy Nosferatu, it's over. Even as like an unpromoted Dark Mage, like, you're fine. If she's like slower than an enemy, just give her a speed pair up like Vike. And the thing is, she has good enough. It's probably gonna be doubling enemies when you take her over to Dark Mage or Sage, which is good enough. But yeah, Muriel is goated. The only thing is she starts really frail. She starts like, she gets one, I think if 2 enemies attack her on one turn at the start, she dies. Which is why she can't be higher. After that is Chapter 3, where you get Sumia. So I've kind of fallen out of favor with Sumia, right? The thing with Sumia is that she's really weak. She struggles to kill anything without a strength pair up. She has flyer weakness, which kind of sucks, because like the join map where she joins is like where I think archers get introduced. No, there's one in Chapter 1, but it's like one of them. But you have to actually start fighting archers in that chapter, so it's like you can't just abuse her. She sucks when you get her, combat-wise. But the thing is, when you get her, she's your only flyer. So she does still have the niche of like her super high mobility at the start. And by the time that you get another flyer in like Wyvern Frederick or Cordelia, you've trained her to a point to where she's contributing in combat in such a way that she's still S tier because of her mobility. And you have Javelin access by that point. Actually, she can use Javelins at base, but by that point you can buy them. So she's a unique character where she isn't... she isn't like... It's hard to say. She's not S tier at any one thing the entire game. But like she has cumulative traits that help her be that good the entire game, if that makes more sense. Being weak is fair because she's the closest to Gale Force. If she was a strong fighter, that would be absurd. Yeah, I think it's fine for balance, but she's not like a Robin. That's just good. She has like qualities at every point, and she doesn't get Gale Force. She's one of the only 2 like reasonable Gale Force units you have. I think Gale Force is overrated for beating Grima. Like if you're trying to get from like Chapter 1 to Grima, it's pretty overrated, but it's really fun. There's something so addicting about using Gale Force. And she can pass it to Cynthia. She's probably not going to pass it to Lucina. I think for in-game, it's not really fair to consider that she would ever pass it to Lucina. That's some like low man cheese, getting Gale Force on Lucina. But yeah, early game flyer utility, and then eventually she's just like a decent combat unit that has flyer mobility, and then she has Gale Force, and she has a daughter that she can pass Gale Force to. So I think Sumi is good. She's also, I think, probably for an in-game playthrough, the best marriage partner with Chrom. Cynthia benefits a lot from getting Aether for in-game. And Aether, or Chrom, kind of makes up for Sumia's weakness because of all the dual strikes. There's a lot of points in like the mid and late game where like the best thing to do with Sumia is to just pair Chrom up with her and then hope for dual strikes. It's kind of cheesy, but it works. And then, who else do you get in Chapter 3? It's Kellum. I think Kellum is a solid A tier unit. He demolishes... Well, he doesn't demolish anything, but he's like invulnerable. He's fucking invincible for like 3 chapters. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Like, he's basically untouchable until you fight mages. And then eventually enemies get stronger and they start doubling him and he kind of falls off. But, I mean, when you get him, he's epic. Epic sauce. He's also like one of the most valuable pair-up bots you get in the game because he gives you strength and defense. And notably, he can support with Donal and Stall, which is interesting. Red Calf is significantly better than Green Calf. I agree. I have her higher. I don't know where they'll end up when everyone else is there. Kellum, but yeah, he's just a simple armor knight. He's got interesting reclass options. If you go Thief, then you get like Movement 1, Pass, and Acrobat for your mobility. And if you go Priest, you get Miracle and Renewal from like for your tankiness, right? But like realistically, I don't know how many of those things you're gonna get in one playthrough if you don't have the DLC. And he's just kind of okay. It's really slow. I would not want to imagine how slow a Trickster Kellum would be. See, Chapter 3. I get it mixed up. I actually think Donal is the next unit you can get. It's pretty bad. Obviously, if you train him, give him some favoritism, he's strong, but you have to actively not give the rest of your team experience to level him up. You can get him to like level 5 or 6 in his joint chapter, but after that, it's pretty rough. He's got an ace. He can support with Stall and Kellum, which is useful. If you bring Kellum into there, you might be able to get a C support just off of how many rounds of combat you have to do with the archers. But if you also do that, you won't get quite as much experience because you'll be killing them faster, which is unfortunate for Donal. When you get him going to Mercenary, especially if you get Underdog first, he's going to be stronger than any other unit you have for a while, but then he hits his caps really early and it kind of stops mattering. He's probably the best soul tank once you get him going though, besides like Robin. But there's not too much to be said about Donal. I don't think there's very many arguments for him. I will say that while I'm going to do it as a different list, he is unique as a father because he gives his female daughters Gale Force. Which actually makes him very important for like DLC and like that kind of planning. He's like Kael's best father ever because he gives her like Mercenary and Pegasus Nightlines. After that is Chapter 4, which you get Long Ku for beating. Where is he? Long Ku... I'm going to put him here, actually. So Long Ku, like, sucks when you get him. He has, like, no strength. And he's not even fast enough, I think, to double all the enemies on his map. He's not that fast. But he starts with a Killing Edge and Sea Swords. So until that Killing Edge breaks, he's kind of chatty. I think that for the base game, crits are one of the strongest modes of attack you have, since you don't really have brave weapons. And like, yeah, being like this early on with crits, you're just gonna one-shot a lot of things with Long Ku. I mean, once you run out of that, you're stuck with a guy that has like less attack than Sully, but you know, you have that killing edge for 30 hits. And you know, the thing is, you're critting, right? So you're one-shotting. So actually, you get to kill 30 enemies with it, not 15. But I do think Long Q is useful for that. He's useful as a father, because he gives an insane amount of speed and skill, which for in-game is kind of nice. You can have, like, Long Q and Soul Mary, and then have, like, an Armor Knight kill that, like, can double enemies. Which is pretty funny. His other class lines are Thief and Wyvern, though, so it's kind of unfortunate. His, like, ultimate in-game, if you go through all his classes, to make him, like, the ultimate evasion master with, like, Avoid 10, Tantivity, Lancebreaker, Swordbreaker. But I don't... And, like, Lucky 7, but it's never gonna happen. You got 4 different class lines, they need to have Veteran. For in-game, it's just not going to happen. You're not going to get Long Q through all of those different classes. For most characters, I would actually just assume that they're class locked for the sake of this. That, like, they're going through, like, their unpromoted line to one of their promotions to, like, maybe second sealing. Like, for Long Q, right, if you really favorited him, I would see you getting through Myrmidon when Master Seals become available, making him, like, a Sword Master, and then second sealing him to Assassin, like, around Falm. And then by then, he's gained too many levels, and he levels too slowly. I don't really see the, like, Kellum going to Thief, to Assassin, back over to, like, War Monk, back to General, you know? The only context where I've seen the word Tantivity. Wait for the skills tier list. That was going to be epic style. Yeah, Long Q is silly. I do like his critical quote where he goes like, Sheogorath. It sounds like he's saying like Sheogorad from Morrowind. But I think he's just like grunting. But it sounds like he's saying Sheogorad. Next up is chapter 5, which is my boy Rickon. Rick and Morty. His promotion has a staff, so he's better than these two. But he's fucking glub shitto when you get him. He's an insanely slow mage, so he's not even good for combat, really. And weirdly enough, his, like, best growths are, I think, luck. Luck and magic. So yeah, all around, Rickon is... He's also really hurt in-game by the fact that all of his other class options do not synergize at all with mage. He's got entirely other physical class options because he has all of Crom's options. Because he wants to be like Crom. Quam. But like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe Sniper Rickon is some secret sauce. Let's keep it secret. You can't be that bad with a staff, though. The only issue is that he starts as mage and not priest. So, you do actually have to get him all the way to level 10 to promote him. Which is... not the worst. Give him a speed pair up, and he's not that bad. In particular, he has a fast support with Pan, and they kind of synergistically work, because, you have to, like, preserve Pan's B-Stone, and Rickon getting all that speed from the pair up is really nice. It lets him double enemies. And then Mirabelle is pretty much just Lisa too, but she starts worse by the time that Lisa's gotten better. They both have Gale Force access, technically. It's not actually that unlikely that you use them for Darkfire, either. Especially Lisa. I don't know about getting Gale Force, but they actually just make decent Darkfires. Because if you get Lisa Tome Fair, you can second seal her over to Darkfire, and then she's just hitting really hard with high mobility. You're probably not getting Gale Force on her, though. That's a lot of levels. But, like, she's one of the only people that's in Darkfire that actually uses the magic half of it instead of just getting Gale Force. I actually think I would stick with Valkyrie for Lisa, though. Lisa and Mirabelle instead of going for Darkfire, because you keep your staff utility and the high movement. You just don't have quite the same mobility, because you're still hindered by terrain. Also, the whole, like, class thing actually changes for staff users, by the way. The thing is, a combat unit has to get kills, and the kill formula gets slimmed down after 30 kills, or 30 levels on normal. Sorry, 20 levels on normal, 30 levels on hard, and 50 levels on lunatic and lunatic plus. So, like, on hard, by the time you get a character, they're base 20 levels in their unpromoted class, and then promote them, they're kind of slow leveling, but that doesn't really apply for staff users. Rescue and Recover and Psychic always give good experience. So, it's not unlikely for you to have, like, Darkfire Lisa by, like, the time you, like, get to, like, the like, Yin Fei arc. It's not actually that unlikely. But, like, once you're out of staff using classes, you do start to slow level again, which is why I don't know if you'll get Gale Force on Lisa by the end of the game. But if you keep her in, like, Valkyrie, you can run her through, like, all of the staff classes. That's just less valuable than it is for the combat classes, though, because you usually get more support options through class lines than necessarily combat boosts. The only exception is Tome Fair. You get Tome Fair by going through Sage with staves, which is really useful for, like, most characters that want it. Okay, Chapter 5. Paralog 2 doesn't have characters, and then it's Chapter 6, which is technically Gaius, because Gaius is on the map before Pan, right? He does have soul. He do be having soul, though. Gaius sucks. I'm not joking. I think Gaius's base strength is 5. I want to look this one up to be sure. Seven. I've had Lisas with higher strengths than him by the time he joins. Gaius is the most trainee unit that is not Donald. But he's got insane speed and pretty good skill, and actually good strength growths. He just has bad base. He fucking sucks when you get him, though. He's, like, pair-up dependent. And the fact that his only pair-up options for men is, like, he really wants that strength. And it's not there with those two. He's also one of the Gale Force dads, if you want to give your kid Gale Force, and they don't get it naturally, if they're a daughter. Gaius Kosad. He's a thief. Yeah, the orange hair, I love it. I made Gnaw. I did Gaius Gnaw, so that she would have Astra and Gale Force for an apotheosis. And when you put Gnaw in the Sage outfit with the red hair, she looks like a pumpkin. He's got pumpkin-like qualities too, now that I look at it. But yeah, eventually you can get him through... I would go Trickster, so that you can staff abuse. That gets him Lucky 7, which is okay. I shit on it a lot, but Lucky 7 is fine for endgame. And then second seal him over to Hero and get Soul. And then by the time you get up through 10, you can just second seal him to whichever final class you want him in. And Gaius, like, once he gets Soul, is really good, because he's fast. He doubles, like, everything without a pair-up. Which means that you can give him either offense or defense with his pair-up, and then... He's also a lock touch unit, so he's giving you, like, chest utility the entire game. I don't know if I consider the chest utility mattering, though. Anna has better bases, if you just want a thief. Where is she? I need me that rabbit. I was gonna say heresy, but heresy is a word. A hare of the forest. Pan. I would say she's a slightly worse Lonku. I think it's slower relative to her join map than Lonku is. I think she does worse on Chapter 6 than Lonku does on 5. And she runs into the same issue of her Beast Stone running out. She's also like Long Ku. She's like the speed god of Gen 1. She's speed 3. So there's like, you can, the thing is, right, you can preserve her Beast Stone until chapter 10, but if you use her that way, then you're preserving her, right? You're not really getting to use her. And if you're like going out of your way to only use her Beast Stone to feed her kills, you know, and you're playing all carefully and slowly, then she's not an A tier unit, she's a trainee unit, she's like B tier. So realistically, I'd put her in A tier. Because you do have to run out, you have to deal with the fact that she either runs out of her Beast Stone, and then she gets left behind in levels, or you feed her kills, and she doesn't play like an A tier unit, she plays like a trainee. She's also second skill dependent, if you want to try and get her out of Tagwell, which you definitely do. I always just keep her in Tagwell because I like how it looks, but you want her out of Tagwell. Personally, I like making her my Thief. Running her through Thief, and then Trickster for Lucky 7. That way you get Lock Touch and the high movement and Pass. Or not Pass, but Acrobat. And then just running her back to Tagwell. That's how I like to play her, but she obviously makes for a better Wyvern. She's like, I think, one of the fastest Wyverns in the game, which is really useful. She's also kind of an evasive stacker, just like Long Ku, because she gets like Even Rhythm, and then Tantivity, and the Breakers and Lucky 7, so. They're basically the same unit, which is kind of funny. I love that Swordmaster is so bad that you don't even really care that you lose it for Tagwell. They're basically interchangeable. Technically you also meet Lucina in Chapter 6, but that's whatever. Who you get in Chapter 7? Scordelia. She, I think, is better Sumiya. Because while I do praise the fire mobility early on, it doesn't really matter. It's just kind of like for positioning. And Cordelia like actually starts strong enough to fight. Not to mention that unlike Sumiya, you can actually pair Cordelia with like any guy. So like the strongest combo for sure is Vike. Like her and Vike make it like a disgusting combo. If you get them to S support. What's Cordelia's base strength? I think it matters less because she can support with Vike. Even if she has worse attack as like Long Ku, I still think she's better because she can S support with Vike. Nine, actually. That's kind of nuts. Yeah, she's stronger than like Gaius and Long Ku. And she can S support with Vike, who's going to give her more strength in the long term. And they can S support for like really good dual strikes. Not to mention the fact that all of her lances are better. Hey, I forgot about that. Lances are better. You get javelins, so you can do like hand axe javelin combos with Vike and Cordelia. It's really consistent too. It's really hard for me not to pair them just because of that. And it makes a really good Severa. Vike Severa is so good. You just get to just pass down like Axe Fair and Gale Force, and she's fucking crazy. But yeah, she's basically Sumiya, but you get her later and she has a better base. The thing is, Sumiya is so variable that you can level Sumiya to like a Darkfire and she can still be worse than Cordelia when she joins. Sumiya and Cordelia are really variable characters. You love getting Gale Force on Sumiya and still having 16 strength. It's just something that happens sometimes. And you have to accept it. It's really rough when it happens, but there's no getting around it. At least as long as you don't have the DLC. This is the backup that Kellogg was talking about. It happens, though. Your strength doesn't... Once you have pair-ups and all that, you can get around it, but it's just unfortunate when it happens. Cordelia, then level 8 is Gregor. Gregor I'm very split on. He's at least the top of A tier. He might be S tier. Because you can instantly promote him, and then it's just 5 levels to soul. The issue is that Gregor is really slow, and he's not as hard hitting as Vike. So he has like all of Vike's issues, but he has a shorter path to soul. But then he doesn't hit as hard. Gregor is very weird. He does have good classes at least. He does have Barbarian for Death Spoil, Berserker, and what's his final one? Oh yeah, Myrmidon. So he can be like an assassin. You can run him through Myrmidon for speed, but the issue is you want soul first, so you like gotta go through soul or hero. I don't know. He is in that category of I think most of his issues get fixed if you give him a speed pair up, but if he doesn't get enough strength, he's kind of I don't know. He's based. I think we can put him in S tier. Brady is dying. Now we. The best Nowie I ever used was I made her a staff bot, and she just rescued people. She's actually got a strength. She's actually got one magic mod, which is interesting. She's pretty bad when you get her, and then she's a growth unit because she's Mana Heat. She has 1-2 range, so she's easier to use than Pan once you get her going. She's like bulky, but she's kind of fake bulky because she's slow. And then like you don't really have health regen options. You don't have like Renewal or Soul or like Dark Mage. You have Life Taker if you want to get her to level 15 Dark Knight. I don't think you are, but you could. You've got Dragon effective damage, which is interesting. And your pair-up bonuses are strength, magic, res, and defense. So, and it's like 2 each, so it's not really noticeable. She's like kind of a poor. I don't know. She's got like kind of poor offense. She's bad bulk, no speed, no pair-up utility. I don't know. She might be worse than Stalin Solely. +2s on level up. It is true. She does get that HP. 1-2 range Dragonstone is good. It is better than Pans for sure. The thing is, Solely and Stall would get javelins. Hello. I think there is like a weird Sage argument for Nowie. I'm gonna put her behind Rickon, but like I think you mostly want to get gross on Nowie so that Gnaw starts like better. Nowie's okay. Let's see, I have a hard time keeping track. After 8 is 9, which is Libra. There he is. Pre-promoted unit. He's got good enough combat starts when he joins. He has probably better magic than where your Lisa ended up at that point, or your Maribel, either one you focused on. He immediately is good. He has good enough staff rank to use like Ward and I think Psychic and Rescue with like effectiveness. And he comes with a Mend. He's a join on a map, so you get to bring your entire team and he helps you on that map. And his reclassing options are Sage and Sorcerer. So you either make him a Sage and get Tome Fair for like the best staff utility in the game, or you take Renewal and maybe Tome Fair into Sorcerer. Libra's the GOAT. Libra is insane. It's just like a weird combination of factors that make him like perfect. There's no other unit I think that has all of his qualities besides like Robin. I just wish Libra had Barbarian. I mean, it would be better than Mage. He's already got Priest, so you've already... Mage is really not doing anything on Libra. It's kind of unfortunate. Because he's already got Dark Knight from Dark Mage and Sage from Priest. Mage is just there for magic +2, I guess. My stall is often speed screwed. Yeah, stall is really slow. Sully is like a lot better than where you got her, but I'll let you cook. My issue with Sully is that she just starts too weak, and her ceiling isn't really that crazy. She's not in C or D tier. I don't think she's bad. I just think most units are better. Hello. And then Tharja? Or I'm sorry, Saria. People are drawing her on Twitter again. It's been epic. Is she the best S tier unit we have so far? I think she is. On hard at least, Tharja's starting stats are good enough to just raw dog her, promote her to sorcerer just straight up, and then literally just bench her, use her as like a backup for another unit, like a support partner, and literally raw 10 to sorcerer promotion Tharja with Nosferatu and a speed pair up is good enough. You literally don't have to train her. Because I used to put her in B+, because, you know, I thought, like, well, you gotta kind of, like, give her some levels as, like, a... You know, because she joins without Infinite Nosferatu, so you actually have to use her like a mage, right? And it's like, well, she's not the best mage. Muriel is probably better if you trained Muriel until you got Tharja. But, like, you can just straight up just bench Tharja until you get Master Seals and Nosferatu, and she works with a speed pair up. Nosferatu is not like Soul, where you have to hope it procs. It always procs. And you have Hex and Anathema immediately. So, like, yeah, Tharja's S tier. She's too slow, though. Otherwise, she'd be S+. Yeah, her base defense is so dumb. She's tanky. There's like that trend where people draw like the girl raising her back leg up and like pinching her leggings. I just imagine that with Tharja, but she can't do it because her clothes are like indestructible. Also, Tharja's goated. We love the yandere. See, chapter 9. Next you get Anna. Anna is like... Do I need to make another tier? I might. Make it green. There, look, it's Christmas. Christmas. Welcome home. Daddy brought home a Toblerone. Anna's okay. She's great. She's got really good utility. She's staff user. And she joins with enough to actually use rescue effectively. Her combat is okay when you get her. She can't go up against multiple enemies in enemy phase, but she can survive an enemy or two. And she can maybe player phase one enemy. She's not really a combat unit, though. She's a utility unit. And she starts with good enough stats that you don't have to train her up. She's also like a lock touch unit for free. So if you're not going to train Gaius, you're going to use her for chests. And the only chest that you can unlock with Gaius until you get her is one on his join map. So she's just a strictly better lock touch unit for that. Her reclassing options are interesting. You've got Sage to make her a better support unit. Or you've got Archer, which is kind of fun. I really like Sniper Anna, but that's just me. 10, 9, 10, 11 is Olivia. I don't really know how to explain how good a dancer is. I think a dancer is literally just as good as the other units are. The only notable thing is that your dancer is really susceptible to ambush spawns. But that's more awakening than anything else. Like, Sumiya doesn't really do too hot against ambush spawns either. None of your frail units handle ambush spawns. But, like, ambush spawns are just ass. So I don't really hold that against Olivia. Just any of your units that she can reach moving twice is just really good. There's kind of no way around it. The only maps she really struggles on are open field maps, where like you can't really protect against ambush spawns. Yeah, can situationally be held back by the map. So like she's kind of bad on her join map because there's just a giant open field with wyverns. You can't really protect her. You can't use her in protector. Because units with possibly like more move than she has can spawn out of the forts. But then like the next chapter, chapter 12, you can actually form like a bit of a chokehold and there's no fires. So you can actually use her on that map. Which is really cool. I like that quite a bit. And then like again, you get to like 13 and it's like, fuck off. There's too many like ambush spawns to use her. But when you can use her, you can use her. Another really good thing about Olivia is that she's not a combat unit. Like you can make her fight, but she's not. You shouldn't be making her fight. So she's sort of like weird in a way where you can bench her with like no consequence, right? She's never gonna have good combat stats just from dancing, organically, right? So if you bench her for like 5 chapters and then bring her back, it doesn't matter that she gets one-rounded because she got one-rounded before. It's not like if you bench Vike for like 5 chapters and then he comes back and he suddenly gets doubled and can't kill anything. Although I would say Olivia is probably the best use of all of your stat boosting items for an in-game playthrough. Giving her the ability to not die in one hit to some enemies is really valuable. You can also cheese Olivia by just dancing to 30 on her join map and then second sealing her to a promoted class. Which is really funny. I don't really think it adds much, though. It's more so if you want to give Gale Force to someone, like Inigo. I guess Lucina, technically. But there's not enough maps to do that, really. It's just funny. Churche La Femme. I think that she's like worse Kellum. Like, she's really good when you get her. But she falls off because of her speed. And she doesn't really have reclassing. Not in-game. If you're doing like weird DLC grinding where you have like infinite levels and stuff, yeah, her support classes give her stuff. But like, for in-game, you don't want to take a fucking physical unit into staff classes. It's kind of unfortunate. Although Renewal is pretty good for her, because it's like your best option. But I think Kellum is like a bigger impact when you have him. Like, I think Kellum's impact on Chapter 3 is like way bigger than Church's impact on Chapter 12. And all the following maps. Does dancing give 10 experience in this game? I think it's less. Something to consider for Iron Bands. I mean, you can use Rescue Cheese, right? You get her on Chapter 12. I don't know, man. I did it to give dual support plus to Jerome on the run that I used to beat Apotheosis, but like... I don't know. You lost all your other healers and it's dire. I don't know, man. If you lost Libra, Lisa, Maribel, and Anna, I would just probably call it. I would just probably call it. You have Falcon Knight Sumiya to pick up the slack. 13 is Henry. Henry is not Darja. Henry's too slow. The thing is, Darja is also, weirdly enough, one speed mod. I actually didn't believe this until I saw it. I'm pretty sure... Yeah, Darja actually has a speed mod, which is crazy to think about. That's why she starts with, like, enough speed. Henry is really fucking slow. And he's really not likely to get that many speed growths either, especially in Dark Mage. But he has another path. He has Thief, because like all the fucking middling classes ever have Thief. But he's also got Barbarian. And he's got exactly one Strength mod and one Magic mod. You know what that means? It's all coming together. Berserker Henry, as funny as it is actually really good. He might be your best Berserker. Because he gets to take Hexen and Othma into the class, so like all of his skill issues kind of go away. And like Berserker gives him a weirdly high amount of speed. He's actually fast with Berserker. And he hits real fucking hard because Berserker hits hard. So Henry, weirdly enough, is like the best Berserker in the game. Henry and Gregor and Robin and Zerker. Fire Emblem Awakening Berserkers only, but they can only use bronze swords. I think Henry... I think realistically he's down here. But in my soul, in my heart, he's a unit that I adore to use. The problem really just is he just has really terrible bases, and his growths are kind of questionable. He's an amazing support unit, though. Like, just when you get him, just put him on someone's back, and like Hexen and Othma are just so good. It's basically like having an S support in terms of like hitting enemies, which is like really useful. Hexen and Othma as like a free support partner are just like crazy. And he was immediately ready to second seal over to Barbarian or Master Seal to Sorcerer. And if you get him a fast support partner, like someone like Olivia for speed, or like Sumiya for speed, he does become a functional NOS tank, at which point he's obviously broken. It's just that he starts, I think, too rough. But that is interesting, that all your Berserkers have to come from other classes. Like, Vike gets to take, like, Fighter and Soul, and like, Gregor gets to take, like, Arms-Drifted Patience into it. And I guess Soul, too. Might make a better Dark Knight than others, too. Yeah, I guess. Chapter 14, you don't get no one. Although this is when the paralogs open up. Chapter 13. I think that for an in-game, Morgan is probably your best unit. They start marginally weaker than Robin, but with Veteran, you literally just have to give them kills on their join map, and then they're just, like, good enough, and then they just snowball like crazy. You can pick and choose whichever parent you want to manipulate Morgan's starting class, so, like, if you marry one of the Falcon, or one of the Pegasus Knights, they start with Pegasus Knight and then can promote instantly to Darkflyer. Which, like, with Robin's magic, they actually use both sides of the class. Instead of just being physical units that have to go through Darkflyer. If you marry someone like Darja, she starts with Hex and Anathema, which is really useful. If you marry Olivia, she starts as a Tactician, which is actually pretty useful, because you get Veteran and Solidarity for free. Same if you marry, I think, Lucina. You also get Tactician Morgan that way. But yeah, just any girl, you can just start her in the class that you want. You get Tagwell Morgan if you want. Manakete Morgan. Which I do like the green hair. Oh. Oh, that neck pop was good. That kind of hurt. But she starts with like marginally worse stats than whatever your Robin is, and then she immediately catches up. And then by the time she's caught up, she hasn't exhausted her like levels, so she's just gonna surpass them. And then she can have whatever second gen support partner she wants. She has natural ones with I think non-noir, and then all the guys. So she's good. I can't really think of many arguments for why she isn't the best. I think like she starts like slightly weak. But considering you can get her like right before chapter 14 and 15, I don't really consider that a real argument. You can pass down whatever you want from both of her parents, unlike Lucina. And then she has like every class that she wants in the game, and because of veteran, she can actually abuse all of those classes. She's like the best soul tank in the game. She's like the best Gale Forcer in the game. She's the best support unit in the game. If you want to make her a rally bot, she has Spectrum, so she's the best in the game. And she gets speed because of Falcon Knight, so she's the best rally bot in the game. She has speed and Spectrum with stack. I can't really think of what you can do wrong with Morgan. I guess you could make her a sniper. That would be kind of shit, I guess. It would be a waste of her talents. Although, I guess you get Lucina before you do the Parallax, right? I'm going to put Lucina down here. So, like, all of the flaws of second-gen units are kind of different from Morgan. Morgan functions differently than all the other second-gen units. But your second-gen units come at level 10, and they're unpromoted, so you can either master or second skill them immediately. And generally, they're all a little bit behind in stats. That doesn't really matter for Morgan, because she's got veteran. Lethality Meyer. You love to see it. You love to see it. Meyer is really weird, actually. I don't think you can trigger skills. I think. You also can't dual strike with Meyer. I learned that the hard... I know that for sure, because I used Meyer on Noir like twice in Apotheosis, and it didn't trigger... It had 0 dual strike. What was it? I was thinking about Lucina. I gotta think. Think, neat. Think! Basically, all your second-gen units come really weak. But their growths are generally much better than their parents. And the combination of the skill inheritance, where each parent gets to pass down one skill, usually means that if you just pass down the right skills, you can go to 20 in their unpromoted class and then promote. Which is generally good enough. Like, for Lucina, just give her a good skill from her mother, and then just go through the 20 levels of Lord and get to Rightful King, and that's good enough. I'm going to put Lucina down here, though, just because she joins pretty weak. She's got Aether right away, but your chance of proccing it is probably like 10%. She could get Soul with Robin as her mom, and since she has a very limited roster of moms, I'm going to count that as a Soul Tank possibility. But, I don't know. Lucina's really weird. Specifically because Crom's marriage partners, aside from Robin, are all fairly weak and highly variable in their growths. You're almost likely to get a Lucina that will end up worse in the long run than Crom. You goat? Why did it delete that from chat? YouTube considers it wrong to call me the goat. Ugh. That's the kind of hater energy I need to have. But yeah, Lucina's fine. I always just run her through Lord and Great Lord because those are her unique outfits, and I like it a lot. Hope will never die. I'm trying to think, who's the next girl you get? Lisa. So where's Owain? Owain is certainly a unit. He's like the unit of all time in this game. You've got a mother that has like negative strength and is likely not going to have any strength growth because she's in cleric her entire time. And then her son is a Myrmidon, which is already like the weakest physical class. So it's very interesting. We love getting 13 strength Owains when he joins. It's pretty questionable. He doesn't even start in Priest, so it's not like you can just staff abuse either. He's kind of awkward. Swordmaster is definitely the worst promoted class in the game, and that's clearly his unique. He's got like the yellow jacket. I adore using Owain, but he's pretty... he's not that good. I mean, I guess realistically you want to make Vike his father, so he gets actual strength growths. But either that, or I mean, just take him out and put him in Sage. But at that point, he's not really Owain anymore. He's a dude in Sage. And then, interestingly enough, he has inherent Barbarian access. So, I don't know, maybe Barbarian Owain? Berserker Owain? I don't want to really mention Dreadfighter for this tier list, because this is like in-game, and Dreadfighter and DLC in general just break this list, and just make it so that there's like 2 tiers. But, I really like Owain as Dreadfighter. It matches his entire vibe really well. So unironically, the fact that he has inherent Axe Fair and Tome Fair for Dreadfighter and Sword Fair for Dreadfighter is pretty cool. But I'm not considering Dreadfighter in general. Aggressor is really powerful. Less so in the base game, but still pretty powerful. Okay, after Lisa, it's Sully. So Kjell. Kjell is one of Crom's potential children, and if you have a daughter with Crom, then the daughter will always inherit Aether. So I'm going to put her here, because she's like a potential Aether tank. Realistically, I don't know about all that, but she's basically just better Sully. She starts at Knight, which is unfortunate, but you can immediately Second Seal or Master Seal her out of it. And then she has all of Sully's classes with the addition of her father's. And you can actually give her Gale Force by having Gaius, Donal, or the male avatar be her father, which is interesting. For in-game, I don't really care. I think you're better off trying to pass her soul from someone like Donal than like trying to get her Gale Force that way, but either way. You get her early enough that you can train her and make her more doable. But it just really sucks you start in Knight. You don't get any good skills from that class. You get like Defense 2 and Indoor Fighter. And if you just get her through like General or Great Knight, then you get like Rally Defense and Luna, which are pretty worthless in game, I'm not gonna lie. Akela is really just hindered by starting as Knight. If she started as a better class, I think she would honestly be a lot better. Next up is Laurent. Where is he? I got hate for saying that I don't really like Laurent because he doesn't have a personality. He's just got a big wizard hat. He's basically right behind Muriel. He's a better version of her that you get when you get him. Just make sure to give him a father that doesn't have like really bad magic. He's probably going to be better than Muriel, just straight up. It's better to be magically oriented than physically, because most enemies have way lower res. So even if you don't necessarily have a Laurent that starts really strong, you can just kind of get away with it. Like, I've had the like default like 11 magic Laurent, and he can still damage enemies on his join map. It's not undoable. Instant promote to Sage to Staff Abuse, instant second seal to Dark Mage to Nos Tank. Really, the only issue is I think it's going to be kind of hard to give him good bases. Because, like, the only magical... What are your magical males? You've got, like, Rickon, Libra, and Henry. I don't know. I guess if you assume that you go with Libra, you can make an argument that Lawrence, like, S tier. But it's kind of questionable. All the second gens, like, except for Morgan, are going to have such questionable bases, I can't put them too high. Most of them, anyways. Some of them have starting attributes that change how you look at them, but I don't think that's the case for him. I think he's got the really good ceiling of being a good, great Nosferatu tank. You could go for the avenue of passing down different skills from his parents to help him. Like, you could second seal Muriel over to Troubadour and then have, like, Kellum be his father so he gets defense and res 2. Training? That could certainly be interesting, but I don't know how good it would be. You know, actually, I think because his ceiling is higher, I'm just going to put him, like, right above Muriel. Wish Crom could marry Muriel. I wish he could marry everyone, all the Gen 1 moms. You imagine how cool it would be to run around with blue-haired Severa that could use Aether? Although it's kind of funny. It's kind of funnier for Cordelia just to be an eternal cuck. That unlocks all marriages and Anacrom was so sick. That does sound cool. Could you imagine red-haired Lucina? That would be so dope. Laurent, 2, 3, Sumia, so... Cynthia, I'm going to say, is a rare case where I actually think they're just straight up better than their parent. Like, not because they have different qualities, but because she's literally just a better, like, Sumia. Sumia's stats are so shit that Cynthia's probably, like, effectively stronger than her with Crom's added stats. And then you start with Gale Force and Aether. Like, are you kidding me? She's pretty crazy. She can double enemies on her join map, too, with that speed. Not to mention your starting stats, like Speed 2 from Pegasus Knight. So you can just immediately Falcon Knight, grab Lancefair, and then, like, either go to, like, whatever other class you want. You can make her a pretty good Falcon Knight. You can make her a good Darkflyer, too. Just because it gives you such a, like, enough of a magic boost that you can just still use Lances with a Lancefair and then also use Tomes. She's really frail. She's not going to enemy face sweep, but, like, it is nice to have Gale Forcers if you want to do boss skips. Or other things. Sumia Frederick is underrated. It gives her a lot of strength. I think the bigger issue is that she's just better off with all the other parents. It's not like Frederick's bad. But, like, if you want her to be a Darkflyer, go with Henry. If you want her to be a Falcon Knight, probably go with Crom. If you want her to be something other than a flyer, Gaius is pretty cracked too. Because in in-game, you can give Gaius like 20 levels in Trickster from Rescue Stabs. It makes Cynthia's bases way better. I think her bases are better with like a staff abused like Trickster Gaius than Crom. And you can pass down Soul from Gaius too, which is pretty cool. Henry doesn't give Cynthia much magic. Not in caps, but effectively he will. He'll probably give more magic than Crom or Frederick, and probably even Gaius, even in Trickster. I guess it depends on how quickly you do the support between Henry and Sumia. Because Henry at his base does not have that much magic to give her. But for me, it always takes like 8 maps to get the S support. Henry Sumia, it takes forever. Who comes after her? Brady. I think he's like down here. He's got like inherent staff access. Funny enough, all the other child units start with C rank weapons. So like C lances, C swords, C tomes, C lances, you know, D staffs. Great. Thanks. I love it. So he can't use Psychic off base. So... Why did they do that to my boy? He's the only one that starts with E rank in all combat options. They still gave him D stabs. Oh, my poor boy Brady. I think for endgame he's pretty bad. He starts off like as a level 10 healer. Mirabelle basically prevents him from being a physical fighter in game. So he's basically a utility character for the entire game. But he doesn't start with the oomph to be a great utility character, right? He's probably got worse bases than Anna. So, like, it's this weird case where he's not the best. I don't want to talk about the, like, high-end DLC type builds, but Brady is actually weirdly one of the best, like, optimized units for, like, high stuff. Because he's one of the units that gets everything about, he's one of those units that gets literally everything he needs from his mother. So you can pick his father based purely on, like, whatever else you want. Because he gets Luna, Tomefair, and Gale Force, Aggressor, and... Which is such a funny flip. From him being, like, one of the worst units in the game to, like, S tier. If you consider that kind of stuff. Sumiya, Chapter 4 is Olenku, Chapter 5 is Mirabelle Brady, Chapter 6 is Pan. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think Yarn is probably the worst in the game. So, like, Brady's D stabs at least gives him, like, Mend and Rescue. And he can be a support unit. Yarn is, like, pretty questionable. He's tag well, so he's 1 locked. He can't 1-2 range. He starts with even rhythm, but not Beast Bane, so he's not even useful on his joined map. He doesn't get Wyvern from his mother, but he can inherit skills from Wyvern from her. His inherent classes are Barbarian and Thief. So he's real unfortunate. He starts really weak because Pan doesn't have good strength growth, right? If you pass down something from Pan, like he can't get Wyvern from her, so he can't even be like high speed mod Wyvern without the father giving him Wyvern. Anytime you get him to a different class, he starts with E weapons. Every time. And then it's like, as a tag, well, he's just okay. He's real unfortunate. I did use him one time as Donald's kit, though. And with Aptitude, he took advantage of Tagwell being unpromoted in experience gain. And that was pretty good for in-game. He ended up at his luck cap with Death Spoil and Berserker. And he was pretty cracked. But in-game, I think Donald being anyone's dad and giving them Aptitude is cracked. I've done Donald Kell, and that Kell was better than that Yarn. Who do you think the best dad for him is? I don't know. On my, like, Apotheosis run, I didn't even use him. I just had Severa pair with Cordelia, and I had Na and Cynthia pair with each other instead of using Yarn or Lauren. So I honestly don't know. Yarn Gregor. I used Gregor for Jerome so he would get Axe Fair. For in-game, I don't know. You probably don't want to do Rickon. Rickon hurts his strength and gives him magic, which, like, doesn't synergize with Pan at all. I guess you could make him, like, well, no, you can't make him a Sage right away. You'd have to make him a Mage. There's a unique quality about special classes where if you get them to level 30, you can instantly second seal them to a promoted class. So I guess one other alternative for Yarn is just to get him to 30 and then instantly promote him. But if you do that, you're stuck with bronze weapons. So you could second seal him directly to like Berserker or Warrior from Tagwell. But then you still have to go through Bronze Helm to promoted class. You also miss out on the unpromoted skills. Which, like, Gamble is kind of nice, like, for in-game. I would want Gamble. That just feels bad. It's more doable for Manakey. I don't know. I planned out one time to have Stall be the dad so he could get Sniper, be like a Sniper support, but I don't know. He was pretty strong on my unpromoted run where I still use special classes. He feels stronger than unpromoted units, like, that are stat capped, for whatever that's worth. Which means Severa is next. I think Severa is just strictly better than Cordelia too. You get to pass down Gale Force from Cordelia, so that Severa starts with it, and then you get to pass down whatever you want from your father. And then with Arms Thrift, Patience, and Soul just going directly to Hero, she's got like everything she wants. It's like a perfect unit for in-game. The only reason she's not like super high is because she usually has really bad bases for when she joins. I've only with like DLC grinding have I ever seen her have higher than like 18 strength on her join map. But you get her when like promoted enemies have popped up. It's just not enough. You have to train her on like chapter 14 and 15. Which you can do that with all your second gen units. If you just do the paralogs before you do 14 and 15, 14 and 15 are like feeding maps where you just train your units. But yeah, Severa is amazing. Like, inherent Arms Drift, Patience, and Soul. Inherited Gale Force, and then whatever you want to inherit from your father. And that's like a complete character right there. You just need to give her levels. You got like inherent Sorcerer access too. Like, just for fun. You can make her a flyer if you want for the mobility. Her map is Hell and Lunatic. I never have done Lunatic. I may or may not. Probably not. Her entire gimmick on her map is interesting until you realize that you can just cheese her with Rescue. That's always what I do, is I just have one unit with Rescue at the bottom with 5 Rescue Stabs, and I just rescue her for like 10 turns until the map is done. I wonder if there's like a way to actually just do the map without doing that though, to like keep her alive. I know that if you severely overlevel your units, they can have capped stats when they join because they're unpromoted. One time I trained Robin until he had all of his stats capped with Limit Breaker, and Noir started with like capped speed. I wonder if you could stat cap Severa and have her be useful on her join map like that. Nah. I think I'm going to put her there. Unlike Owain, she starts with 1-2 range, so it's easier to train her. She has way better growths. She's always going to have good growths because of Finale. Wormslayer is like kind of better than Beastbane. It's about the same. She's actually probably going to inherit worse skills than Pan. I mean, it's literally the same as Pan. It's Mage and Wyvern, so you're probably getting like Strength 2 from Naui. Nala is like really dependent on her father. If you give her someone like Gaius and pass down Soul, or Donal and Aptitude, or like the Avatar and Veteran, and then she can go like through all the classes she wants. Nala has some really crazy potential because of Naui's growths, but Nala is really dependent on her father. She basically gets nothing from Naui. I'm trying to think. Yeah, on in-game, the craziest Nas I've had were ones that had veteran or aptitude. Because she's a growth unit. For my highlight DLC run, I made her a Sage, which is kind of interesting. She has, like, terrible growths in Sage, but... Or at least compared to a lot of other units, it feels like. It always takes longer for her to get her magic. I'm trying to think about upsides. I'm trying to think about the potential. If you really try, you can feed her kills on her join map and get her to snowball instantly, which is really useful. Because there's like that weird area in the beginning of it where there's like a bunch of unpromoted enemies. There's like the two mummy guys. Like one of them's golden, so you can just give her a free kill right there in a level. It's kind of funny. One time, I second skilled her instantly to Mercenary, and I gave her some backpack that basically let her just cheese the map, and she was able to get all the way to Hero on the map, which was crazy. Because all the enemies in her join map are really slow. Nah is okay. It's worth noting she has probably the toughest paralog in the game for like a recruitment chapter. So that's another factor going against her. You can get Owain and Brady, maybe not Brady, but you can get like Owain and Laurent and Kel and Morgan pretty easily, but her join map is pretty tough. Next would be Noir. Worst Dark Mage access. Noir starts as an archer. It's okay. You can pass down really cool skills for her as an archer, like Anathema and Astra or whatever, but realistically, she's just like an okay archer. Tharja probably didn't pick up enough strength to make her like a good sniper, but she also probably... But Noir also just has like bad enough base magic that you can't make her an immediate sorcerer or dark mage. She's kind of like in the middle of both worlds. She really needs someone like Donald or Robin to be her father to like bring out her full potential. But she's okay. Favorite unit in the game, by the way. But we don't care about that. Oh yeah, she gets to take hit rate 20 Prescience and skill 2 into Sorcerer and Dark Mage if you do that. It's actually really fun to just get her hit rate 20 and then second seal her to Dark Mage. How strange the fandom is about Noir. Oh no, what does that mean? This was a hotness tier list Flavia's S+. Absolutely. Well, she's up there. Sorry, I'm thinking about Flavia now. Where was I at? Noir. Noir fan art? Oh, you just mean because there's porn. There's gonna be porn of anyone. The fandom is way weirder about Naui. I also love, by the way, and this is just something funny about Awakening, they didn't want to create custom models for every character, so the bases the bases of the models are all the same except for the heads. So any character any female that becomes an archer just gains massive tits because Noir was like the female archer model. So like Lucina becoming an archer just gets like massive tits because they just use the same model for every model. It's really funny. It's just a funny use of the assets because they didn't feel like creating custom models for all the characters. But it's funny because that means Noir has like fucking double Ds, but then if you make her like a sniper, she like loses them. Or if you make her a sorcerer, they shrink even though she's as equally as exposed. It's just funny. The second seals literally give and take away boobs. Massively model of her and her mom doing experiments and shit. I've seen really buff Noir art, which makes me laugh. Who comes after Noir? Inigo. Inherent soul access, I guess. He joins really late. His mom gives him no stats. That's really the big issue. Olivia doesn't give him any stats. So he's always really understated when he joins. Technical Gale Force access from his mom, but like not really. Decent starting classes? I think it's Barbarian, Mercenary, and Myrmidon. Hey, he joins as a level 10 Mercenary, you can promote to Soul. Obviously he's got to be as good, right? Yeah, I don't know. Inigo is also funny because he's an incel. There's literally a part where he has a support conversation with Jerome where he literally gets pissed off at Jerome for being more popular with women and starts crying. It's real funny. That leaves Jerome, right? I'm gonna put him down here. He's always gonna be strong. Even when he joins, he's really strong. Like, even if you just get the support to unlock his paralog, he's gonna have, like, almost 20 strength. And, like, with a promotion, that's good enough to just put him on someone's back for the rest of the game and have him do damage. He gets inherent strength, too, which is kind of nice. You can give him whatever Church got, and then his father. But, like, just backpacking him to someone like Lucina for the strength boost of a Wyvern Lord and, like, the dual strikes is pretty good. If you try to use him as his own unit, you basically have to patch up his speed with, like, another unit. Which one is playing the music? Alright, we'll leave it there. Raven from Tales. He does look like Robin from Teen Titans, doesn't he? He looks really cool in Dreadfighter. Because I did Gregor Jerome to have Axe Fair. Because I wanted the strongest dual strikes possible from him. And then I ran him through Dreadfighter for Aggressor. He was so cool. He looked like a superhero, like an actual like Teen Titan. It was so funny. But yeah, Jerome is like a dual strike machine. He can stack all of the Limit Breaker, Aggressor, Stats 2, Strength 2, and Axe Fair. Which means that on a dual strike, he's doing like, I think like 60 damage. Which is kind of crazy. Who do you get next? Is it Sayuri? Alright, Sayuri. I'm gonna be real with you. Sayuri kind of sucks. She's probably stronger when she starts in terms of stats than like any of your Gen 2 units are, besides maybe like Morgan. But the problem is, to get her, you have to get through the 2 grind maps that you get that basically buff up all your Gen 2 units, right? So you run into the issue of her being just a smidge weak when she joins. She doesn't have any supports. She's got Tiki and Robin. That's it. So she doesn't get that stat padding that a lot of units do. And Swordmaster isn't the best class. But you know what? God damn it. I think it works. She's got enough speed to make it work. She's like 27 speed at base or something like that. Let me look it up so I don't spread any misinformation to the masses. Tupac? What? I have to know. What? Sayuri Tupac was 5 years old at the time? He was like an Inca member. I had no idea. I thought Tupac was just made up. There is no way. Yeah, 26 speed at base. That's fucking good. Are you kidding me? Like for chapter 15, when you're still fighting unpromoted enemies, 26 speed at base. 17 strength is kind of questionable, but I kind of don't want to Google this, but nay, I'd win. Sayori's the GOAT. She's got enough speed and enough strength. Give her some kills. Also, she starts at that point. You don't have to train her or do anything. You literally just have to give her a Vike moment. She starts with no weapon. But yeah, like on chapter 16, just have her, I don't know, just throw her at the enemies. She's more of a player phase tool than an enemy sweeper, though. That's the problem. But she's still useful. Like, for free, right? She's incredible. You didn't have to put any effort in to get her there. 4 levels to get her Astra, and then she's actually pretty good. And she's got consistent enough strength growth to probably be useful. Really good speed growth, because she's a Myrmidon and Swordmaster. Diet Kagetsu. I don't know who that is. The voice of Doctor Strange. What, Cumberpatch. It's hard to say it. I always think of cucumbers. Tiki is your next join. You get her through a paralog unlocked after 18. And she is okay. She's really relying on that Dragonstone plus she joins with to do anything, but she's a Manakete. She levels really quickly, and she's got really good growths. Get her the 10 levels, and then either second seal her back to Manakete to growth machine her, or just put her as like Wyvern Lord or Sage, I guess. Probably Manakete. She's got a Fury and Reflective. But the only issue with Tiki realistically is that like trying to get her is probably the most difficult out of anyone in the map. Or the game. Her map is a defend map, which like, that's not, it's actually really easy if you have a full team. But Awakening design-wise, like, encourages and generally rewards low manning. So it can be kind of annoying to do Tiki's map and then all of a sudden low manning punishes you because you don't have any units. But Tiki herself is completely fine. She's got those Manakete pair-up bonuses. You can give Sayori 2 strength. That'll fix her. But, Tiki has supports with, I think, Lucina, Na, Sayori, and Robin. So she's actually got some supports. You can support her with Lucina. I like to do that, personally, if I low man and I'm only using, like, Robin. I love to do Tiki Lucina. What do you get after Tiki? That's right, they really just stopped giving you characters at the halfway point. Flavia, my dark-skinned goddess. She actually kind of sucks, but you get her for absolute free, and she has good enough stats to contribute. 28 strength is like kind of embarrassing compared to like what your trained units will have, but it's good enough if you give her some effective weapons, some brave weapons. And she starts with A and B swords, so she can actually use as like brave weapons. I think brave swords. I think it's A swords, B axes, and then Basilio's A axes, B bows. So you can actually give her a brave sword, like when she joins, which is pretty crazy. Inherent arm strength, patient soul. You love to see it. Decent reclassing. I think you can go for like Trickster if you want to make Basilio or Berserker for the speed bonus and movement. I don't know. But you can absolutely use them. I think the big thing that holds Flavia in a lot of these pre-promotes back is that after Church, your units stop getting supports. That's a really big issue. Because, a support can be the difference of like 5 stats on a pair up. Like one number I think can get a bonus of 5 from a unit depending on the support bonus. And the fact that like all these units that join with kind of middling stats can't really be boosted by supports really hurts them more than you would think. But you get her for absolute free, so I think Basilio is slightly worse. But that might just be me. It feels like on their join map, Basilio always gets fucked up by some random. Shout out Church for having the name no one pronounces the same. When I see your name, I think of Church as La Femme from Fallout. But I've also heard it pronounced like Churche. There's Churche, and then I just call it Church. That is about female Robin and male Morgan for in-game, because I think male's better. Okay. Gangrel is another Ana. Literally Trickster. Exact same class. Horrible stats for when you get him, but Trickster staff utility. You can use them on rescue to beat Grima. Emran has really astoundingly bad stats when you get her, but she has staves, so you can use her for rescue to beat Grima. What about out of these schmucks? Yenfei is pretty good when you get him. He's like a better Sayuri. He's like faster and stronger. I'm better. I'm stronger. I'm faster. You know, Homelander beam. Walhart kind of sucks. I'm gonna be real. But he's got good enough stats to be in there. Aversa. One of my 3 favorite units in the game, but she's just okay. Now, Aversa I do want to talk about, because I think people massively overestimate Shadow Gift. Like, the problem is that, like, Nosferatu is, like, one of the best weapons in the game, but it's for beating the game, right? It's to get to Grima. You're not actually going to use, like, Shadow Gift to, like, beat Grima, right? And if you're doing, like, the post-game, like, Nosferatu tanking falls off a little bit. And she doesn't get Arms Drift, so she can't use Versus Knight infinitely, right? So, I think a Versus Shadow Gift is, like, kind of massively overrated, but she does have, like, Gale Force and Shadow Gift for, like, instantly, which is kind of cool. Shadow Gift is so overrated. I mean, like, the use of it is that, like, you could do male Robin to get a female Morgan with Shadow Gift, and then you could have that a Mire into, like, a class that has better skill than Sorcerer. I don't know. I don't know what you're cooking. But Mire has a lot of flaws, too. You can't double with it, and you can't dual strike. I don't even think you can trigger skills with Mire. I also just think it's weird Darkfire can't use Dark Magic anyways. Yeah. I mean, Darkfires wouldn't be too busted with Nosferatu. They're kind of frail. I use Aversa when I did the DLC, but that's because she's like fucking Dommy Mommy Goth Girl. She literally does the, like, big brother act. Like, goddamn. Like, when she levels up, she says, like, all this power is getting me steamy. It's too much. I need to stay focused. Priam. Priam is honestly pretty good. He's got 3 Breakers, Luna, and Soul. They're kind of not working together, but, like, 3 Breakers and, like, cap stats. Pretty crazy. Also, shout out to Priam. By far the best map in the game. His map is so fun. It's literally the embodiment of Awakening maps. It's just a giant open field with like 70 enemies. But it's fun. Because like it's one of the cases where they actually use the enemy types they throw. Where like trying to bounce all your Gale Forcers through and eliminate all the key targets with like your enemy phase positioning is like the challenge of the map. It's so goated, and you get to use like 30 units for it. But yeah, Priam is just whatever. You get him too late. So he's A+. But yeah. hour and 40 minutes. I need to go get water. My throat hurts. I've got cotton mouth. I haven't talked on stream in a while. I'll be right back. You seen her confession art? This is official. I can look this up. Guessing this is it. Official artwork. Oh my fucking god. You literally just fucking bury some of her tits. That verse is so funny. The Zilia fit. I love that the only part of her outfit that's unique is the little... Can you see it on here? You kind of can. She's got this weird, like, little crown thing around her. That's the only part of her that she takes to other outfits. Because you run her through a sorcerer for, like, Hex, Anathema, Vengeance, and Tonebreaker, and then just take her back to Darkfire. But it's funny, she'll be in the sorcerer outfit, and then she'll have the, like, weird little crown thingy. Oh, I know. We can just stay on this one. This one's easy. Because I remember I posted this one, and people did not like that I don't like Naui. I think that she's really creepy. I think that Naui is an interesting character. Naui is an interesting character, okay? She has, like, her conversations with Na, where it shows that she's actually aware of, like, the drawbacks and limitations of being a Manakete, like, more than Na is. And that, like, the entire, like, maybe don't train all the time is more about, like, her being concerned about Na than just being childish. That's interesting. And she has, like, her conversations with like, Gregor, where she, like, she's, like, going out of her way to protect him with, like, scales and all that. There's interesting things there. If you're gonna make her look like a small child, just don't have her wear a bikini. I think it's... Oh, wait. There we go. I'm recording. Look, if you want to make Naui not creepy, just don't make her wear a bikini. I think it's pretty simple. You would think, but people will come up with any argument to justify it. She's Freerin, but with no sauce. Yeah, because she's got the, like, she's like actually pretty mature, and like the childish thing is an act. But I don't know. Maybe just make her not act childish. I don't know. Nala's outfit is right there. Yeah, because Nala's fine. She's not sexualized. She's like an adorable magical girl. It's like different. I mean, if you want to sexualize her, just make her like Tiki, where she's like tall and looks like an adult, or at least a teenager. Like, I don't know. Tiki is not a child. It's different. You know? Tharja. You gotta love the yandere. Aversa. Aversa is crazy. Aversa is crazy. I found out about that on this stream, like the confession art where she literally just pushes Robin into her tits. It's funny. Noir isn't quite as horny. My favorite character trope is definitely like the Kobeni, like the like really timid person that just goes fucking crazy when they get pushed. Like Krona and Kobeni. I really like that trope. But that was not as horny. Noir is like, I actually like her. Her support with Robin is buns. Female Robin is funny though. Which one? Aversa? Yeah, Aversa literally has like the like, I'm stealing your job, bitch. Like support with Robin. That one's really funny. Anna's like B tier. I like the design, but the money shtick is like lame and boring. Wow, money sure does exist. Basilio's okay. I like his funny little feather outfit and his eye patch. He's Samuel L. Jamka. Brady. Worse and worse in each following game. That's not true. Her engaged outfit looks better, right? Yeah, this is way better than Awakening. Well, I don't mean sexually. I didn't mean, like, whether she's hot or not. I just meant this is, like, a better design. Well, yeah, she's not hot anymore. She's a kid. I don't know. This fit is colder than the Trickster outfit in Awakening. I want to bang Awakening Anna. She'd charge you. It'd be expensive. I just don't like the money shtick. If I wanted to see Mr. Krabs, I could just watch SpongeBob. Brady is cool. I love that his entire shtick is that he's like the like Japanese delinquent kid, but he's actually like a giant like softie who like gets sick at the drop of a hat and like literally like passes out from trying to like run. Like do basic trading. He's got the like like the face, but then he's like a giant softie and he cries at everything. Brady is goated. Church is S tier. The fucking like exposed back. The like maid outfit. The way she's like really nice. This is a motherfucking Josuke go to school. He's like a JoJo character. But yeah, Church is S tier. Crom is D tier. I'm trying to think about things that I like about Crom. Crom is just really boring. All of his lines are pretty sauceless. He doesn't have like a funny thing. All of his like funny support convos kind of fall flat. Like his ones with like Frederick and Gaius kind of don't really work. For me at least. His like S support with female Robin is like cringe. Actually his support to like all girls are pretty bad. And like I'm just gonna be real. I'm bi, but I don't get it. I'm not into like cis masked men. Like, I'm not that kind of bi, so I just don't get it. As a certified bisexual, I think Crom is a dude that is made for cis women. I don't see the vision. He bags the generic. Yeah, Robin. Robin gets a Versa. Vike gets Cordelia. And what do I get? Paid. So goofy. Yeah, the generic maiden. I wonder if she even has a 3D model. There's like a cutscene where the wife comes up to Crom asking him if he's going to leave to go to Plegia. I wonder what the maiden model looks like. Cordelia's B tier. Cute design. When she's not talking about Crom, she's a fine character. But like her entire character is her being a cuck. It's really weird too. Cordelia is funny though. If she was a guy, she would be like the most despised character in this game. Because as it is now, I think Virion is like the crowd least favorite. If Cordelia was a guy, he would be the most hated character. Like by a mile. It's not even close either. Like you just cut some of her hair so it's shorter. And then just make her look kind of more masculine. And just have her be a male Pegasus rider. And have her entire personality be... His entire personality would be about how she wasn't good enough to get Sumia. Oh my god, people would hate him. Yeah, he puts like logs in his pants to make his cock look bigger. People would despise that character. It really is a double standard. But I like using her. She's fun. Now you've angered me. It's so funny. It's so lame. Not the beta blue. Stuffing her arm to make her tits bigger. That is funny in that one DLC. Speaking of Virion, I gotta say I like Virion. I think as far as the romantic, like, perv, like, Sanji type goes, he's fine. And I actually adore how fucking gay he and Libra are. Or at least he is. Which brings up another weird thing, because we're talking about how much I like the characters. This game is so much better at writing, like, gay stuff than, like, straight stuff. Like, I'm not one of those people who needs all their characters to be gay and bi or whatever, or trans. But, like, all the, like, male supports have way more chemistry than, like, the generic, like, Gaius and Pan support does. You know what I mean? Which I think it's because they chose specific people to have supports with, so they actually do have, like, chemistry. Like, it makes sense for Kellum and Stahl to have a support with each other, because they're, like, you know, they're both normal dudes. So, like, their support flows better as a conversation. Not necessarily that they're gay, but just, like, the natural chemistry of it. They actually feel like they have a camaraderie, because they're people that... Because of the way romantic pairings work, like, Tharja has to be able to have, like, an S support with, like, Frederick. It doesn't work. Whereas, like, I don't know, Virion and Libra's one is way better, for instance. Virion isn't too offensive to me, though. I'm not gonna hold the fact that he has an S support with Naui against him, because, like, every guy does, but he's kind of respectable in his entire thing. He's like an aggressive pussy hunter, but at the same time, he actually does try. He does things, like, for effort. Like, his support with, like, Olivia, for instance, like, he actually knows how to dance and teaches her how to dance. He doesn't just hit on her. I mean, he's hitting on her the entire time, but, like, he's actually, like, productive. And stuff like that. If you want, like, the bad perv character, Inigo is literally just a worse Virion, by the way. I will say I agree. I hate that Three Houses kind of just had no gay people, only bi. I don't know. I think mechanically you could get away with not having the romance system. The maiden system kind of proves that you could. Just make it so that all the paralogs unlock after 13, but for the child to get inheritance, they have to the mother has to S support. Otherwise, they just get mother stats. And then, of course, like, gay pairings would work. Because, like, Robin's pairings with Tharja, like, the conversations are literally the same between man and woman. It's just that you don't have the S support option as a woman. Platonic S supports. I think that kind of defeats the purpose, but 3 houses in gay Chad. Well, maybe I don't know anything. Olivia's B tier. Really love the design. I love the like belly dancer outfit and the shy thing. The thing that gets me about Olivia is that if you look at her supports, especially her one with Maribel, she's kind of just faking it. Like, she's actually confident and she knows how good she is at everything. She just acts kind of timid and shy so that people will give her attention. And it also gets pointed out in her conversation with not only Maribel, but Pan too. That she basically just like acts all timid and shy so that she can have an excuse when she fails to not have any like consequences for it. And she's like aware of all of it, which makes her like low-key kind of evil a little bit. Especially because she like usually uses it to like kind of manipulate the guys around her a lot more than the women. But I like her. A male dancer? We already have one. Didn't you read the supports? Pan's S tier. She seems like the type that's really strong. And she's kind of mean. She's rude. But like in a hot way. It's implied that like she kicks people in tag wolf form kind of like horses do. That would be nice. Personality-wise, her entire thing is just about her overcoming her like Sasuke trauma. Just like whatever. Mirabelle is also in this tier of like unlikable. Accidentally breaks your bones. Some marriage is fun, but like having lots of options. Yeah, the fact that like Tharja has to be able to S support every Gen 1 dude holds back the writing system. You can't write all that shit to be equally engaging. At least not with whatever fucking writers they got. Inigo? I've said it before. He's literally just worse Virion. There's literally one where he literally has a support conversation with Jerome where he says, "I'm a nice guy. Why do they all go after you?" And then he starts crying. So funny. Cynthia's S tier. I really like the hero thing. I like that she's an absolute dork. I will say Laszlo's fit is insane. Laszlo, I don't know about Laszlo. This is a good case of why I kind of hate promoting sometimes. It's not going to show up. I would have to look through like the gallery. Basically, he has a really, really cool mercenary outfit, and he loses it when he promotes. It looks way worse as a hero. He's got like different shades of like silver, and it's kind of like a baggy outfit, and it looks really cool. And then when he promotes, he's just kind of like in the generic hero outfit, and it's like whatever. He looks cooler as a Bow Knight. Bow Knight Inigo is one of my favorites. Drip-wise. Donald, A tier. Yeehaw! He's literally just a southern kid that got conscripted to fight. He's so funny. Now you done it. His last name is Tin Head Beak. Yeah, Tin Man. Fire Emblem Tin Man, Donald Edition. He did carry my Iron Man, which was so fucking funny. And I love all the supports too, where he's like, oh, you reckon I can do this for you? And the fact that he talks in the southern accent is so funny. I adore Donald. Emerin? Emerin's weird. I mean, she's bad, obviously, but like, she doesn't have a character, but that's like the point. She literally is like borderline brain dead. She's like not conscious. Yeah, she has a character before that. I'm talking about when she's like an amnesiac. And she can only speak in like 3-word sentences. Makes me feel a little guilty, but she's pretty. Flavia, hella S tier. I think below Pan, but I think still S tier. Isn't she like ripped? You can't really... Yeah, she's fucking ripped. Hell yeah. Amen, brother. I can finally agree. She's fucking ripped. Buff and strong women are so hot. I don't know. She doesn't have... She has character, but I don't know what it is. Because I skip all the cutscenes in the game, like all the visual novel parts, like in between chapters. But she's in the game since like chapter 4, so I'm sure she has like a lot of things that show off like her personality. But I haven't ever read it because I can't stand the story. By the way, I'm basing all these things I'm saying off their supports. I have never engaged with the actual story of the game. The only thing I know is that there's a part where Robin says, like, unless we want our ships to get caught on fire, and Basilio is like, what the fuck are you talking about? Robin, what the fuck are you talking about? She's like a pit boss who fights in the arena. That's awesome. I like her unique hero outfit, too. Frederick, the generic boring white guy. He's kind of funny because he's like autistic. He's like subservient to Crom to like a degree that it's funny. I'm gonna put him above Crom, reluctantly, because it's kind of funny how stupid he is. Gaius, I gotta say, I've come around to Gaius. I kind of had the pet peeve of like, oh, Gaius is like, he's like whatever. He looks like a K-pop guy. He's like some boring Twinkus, but real recognizes real, and my boy Gaius is a gilf hunter. I'm just saying, you have to respect it. So long, sucker. Sweet. What's your flavor? He does have really good quotes. He has probably one of the best unique outfits in the game. His unpromoted thief outfit is really good. He's got like the suckers on the front and everything. It's a shame he loses that when he promotes. Gangrel is whatever. Jerome's entire personality is that he's like, I don't know actually. He like avoids people at all costs. But then they do the like, oh, but he's actually really kind and considerate when it's like these specific characters. It's really weird. There's also like a weird backstory he has with Kjell where they're like eternal rivals or whatever. But then Kjell can just support any dude even though she supposedly has loved him since forever, which is weird. That's another thing this game pulls, that some characters have like things where they're like, oh, I've loved you since forever, but then they can S support any character and get married. It's really weird. It's uncomfortable, for sure. Lucy can marry her cousin. Yeah, any Gen 2 people, aside from siblings, can marry. Even though Elaine and Lucina would be direct cousins. Like, because Lisa and Crom are siblings. But the game calls it companions to try and make it better here. Lifelong partner. I mean, by that logic, we all are. Jerome is okay. He's at least got the unique Batman mask. That's giving him drip. Gregor's easy A tier. I love Gregorski. Gregor no run-of-miller guy, yes? His entire thing is just that he does like the European accent thing. And he's like a sweetie pie. There's like the thing where he's trying to help Cordelia get Crom. And he's like, yes, you are beautiful now, making me blush. He's so goofy. He's like one of those people that has like accidental riz. It's funny. I think Henry is another A tier. He's very funny. So I'm gonna kill you! And it's so funny that it's fucking Aaron. I can't unhear that it's Aaron Yeager whenever he does it. And then he's literally got the and the the like little giggle. He's so fucking funny. His intro dialogue is funny too. It's one of the ones I've read where he goes, they think you're trapped. And then Crom is like, we know, damn it. He's so pissed off at him. And the fact that his entire thing is puns. You gotta love Henry. Certified best berserker in the game. Callum, he's okay. His joke, it's not for me. Kel, I think Kel is another one of those characters that I want to like, but they're held back by the shit that annoys me. She's like Sully, but like to an extreme, which is really weird. She like actually like hates weak people. To the extent that she actually like looks down on people for being weak, like weaker than her. It's actually like a part of her support with Lucina. She like literally does not like people if they're weaker than her. Which is like stupid. And then, but then she also has the thing where she's talking to I think Inigo in their support conversation, and she's like, I could only like a guy if he was stronger than me. And it's like, what? Like you've said two things that don't make sense. You've said that I hate squares, and then you've just said that like I only like squares. Like I don't know. But like I don't know. I'm not a girl, so maybe I don't get it. Her big ass armor. Actually, that's my favorite part. I like her knight armor a lot because it has like this very like. It's hard to explain. She looks like a battle droid from Clone Wars, the movie, not the show, or like Revenge of the Sith. Whereas it gets too like angular when she promotes. It looks kind of weirder. I do know what you're talking about. Kel has like a very weird armor design that they made for her in art that isn't in the game. Where it's like slim. Yeah, where she's just wearing the like body of it. Yeah, because she's like shed the shoulders. Like this is a cool design. The like the like unpromoted version looks cool. It's just kind of odd. I don't really understand the mentality of being like a Toughman and then being like I could only like someone stronger than me. I don't really get it for girls or guys. I'm not saying it like it's just bad if girls say it. I just don't get it. Laurent, okay, the Laurent lobby wins. I'll put Laurent in C because he's got a big wizard hat. But Laurent has no character. He's just like a guy. He just says stuff. He says stuff kind of smart, and that's it. But he does have a big, goofy wizard hat. Libra? I would crack that. I don't know. Apparently the reason Libra looks so much like a girl is because he's always wearing the robe. Apparently he's like jacked under the robe. I think that's what gets conveyed in his support with Virion. Either way though, Libra's bad. Lisa's kind of young to me. I like her. I like that she's a prankster. I would put her like with Henry. I kind of like her the same way. There's like the thing where she keeps putting frogs on Robin's back for no reason. Long Ku. He's the Sigma. He's the lone wolf. Where do I put this guy? He has some really out-of-pocket quotes. He refers to women as your kind at one point. It's really funny. His entire thing is like Zorro, where he basically had like a childhood friend who got killed. But he's just so fucking bad about it. It's funny because it gets revealed to be tragic, but then he's just like misogynistic. You know, he's funny though. I'm gonna put him in C tier. Lucina. She's pretty boring, but I like her design. Lucina's interesting. The Honku Sigma Alpha edit. Libra has to be a Lucius reference, which is Pete, but I do love Libra. Is Lucius a Fire Emblem character? I can't type. Yeah, and it looks like a girl. Oh, yeah, the generic blonde priestess. That's actually a guy. He's cute, too. But also had a tragic backstory. Well, that's the thing, is that I think they play up Long Ku's thing as a joke more, whereas it stems from, like, something serious, which it's kind of weird, but it's just funny. There's, like, the part where he's, like, he's doing something with someone, and he's like, I'm gonna set this down and walk away, and then you can come pick it up, because I won't hand it to you, because you're a woman. Muriel? She's got that autistic riz. Muriel is hella funny. She's, like, so, like, into her. She's, like, it's not ditzy, but she's, like, so, like, self-absorbed that it's funny. She has like a conversation where she's talking to who is it? I think it's her one with Robin, where she literally just ignores him. Robin is trying to talk to her and she's just like talking to herself, and then he's like, "Can you hear me?" And she's like, "Yeah, but I don't want to talk." It's just like, oh my god. It's funny. She's also got the big wizard hat. And she looks bored, which does a lot for me. Has the best crit quotes in the game. I don't know about that. I don't remember them, actually. What did she say? "Be gone, foul miscreation." That's pretty good. Anyone who says "be gone" as a wizard is pretty cool. Oh yeah, I never finished Lucina. She's like really boring, which I don't know. It's funny. It's funny that Lucina's like the face of Fire Emblem now, and she's like one of the most boring characters of all time. I like that she's pretty much a failure. Not in that respect, but in like her story. Like her entire arc is like that she's like a future Trunks that just completely failed. Which it's interesting because she's one of the only Gen 2 units that can end up weaker than her parent. Which that's interesting that she's conveyed that way. Although that might be accidental. I think she's supposed to mechanically be stronger than Chrom, but the fact that Chrom ends up stronger a lot of the time is like, I think it's cool that it weaves in like that, because she literally failed and has to, you know. I think it does say something about how boring most Fire Emblem designs are, that Lucina's like the head, like one of the most iconic characters when she's so boring. Keep in mind that all this is within the context of Awakening. These are not... these... Morgan has, like, the ditzy thing going on. Nah is funny. I'm trying to think. She has, like, the support with Morgan, where she's like she's like trying to practice sword clasping. So their support is that Morgan just starts whacking her on the head with a book. It's really funny. And then at the end of it, she realizes, like, what good is this going to do you when you're in Manakete form, because you can't use your hands. I like that Nala is, like, stupid. Not in, like, a dumb way, but she's just, like, not... she's just, like, immature. I don't know. It's funny. I like her, she has one, what is it? That's right, it's a crit quote where she goes like, I'm not scared of you. But like the tone she says it in is so condescending. And whenever she does the Biden blast as the Manakete, she has that one yell where she's like, yeah! It's just like guttural. Mel Morgan. Yeah, I don't like this guy. I gotta be honest. I really don't. There is something off about him. There's something off about him and female Robin, where they kind of look a little inhuman. I think Robin's fine, but with him, he really looks like an alien trying to be a human. Elaine, easy S tier. Or easy A tier. Wayne needs no aid. The fact that he constantly gets called out for making all this shit up that he says, and he's like, I didn't write this down, I'm doing this on the spot. My sword hand twitches. Sacred stones! When he saves Lisa. He wrote the fact that all his like training dialogue when he gets a sparkling tile is like, I've just finished my new Path of Radiance. The missile stain, not the mistletoe. He's so goofy. Priam, I'm gonna put at the top of C tier. I don't quite like him as A tier, but I like that he's like. Also, he's just Soul Bad Guy, right? No, I'm thinking of the wrong guy. I'm thinking of someone else. He's like literally one of the BlazBlue characters. Like one for one. He's supposed to be a descendant of someone called Ike, who is like, I think the guy from the Radiant games. The GameCube ones. I don't know. But, Ragnar the Blood Edge. Let me look this up. I swear I've seen him somewhere else. No, not Ragnar. He's okay. I like the entire gimmick of him having this giant army, but he sees all of them as equals. He's basically just Chrom 2. The Chromating. But he looks way cooler. Also, based Priam. Fuck Aether. Just run Luna and Soul. It's so dumb. But his sister meant. Well, I mean, they'd be in the same family then. I don't really care. I don't know who Ike is. I don't care. I like that he has a big headband. He looks like Renji. Rickon. I like Rickon. He doesn't have much of a character, but he's got one. He's got the big wizard hat too. He wants to be like Crom, so he's got all the classes he does. There, we got it out of the way. But I like that. I like that he looks up to Crom. It's kind of funny. He has a support conversation with Henry, but not Crom. Like, okay. Robin, I would. Even if the thing is, I'd be scared the entire time that she'd like shapeshift into like an alien or something, or that she'd be a skinwalker. She's got the very distant look of like something that's not quite all there. It's very off-putting. Not into Robin. Especially not default male Robin. It looks really weird. I mean, it's kind of tough to judge Robins in particular, because you can customize these too. You can make Robin like a 6 foot tall mommy, like giant tits. Or she could look like Shinobu Jacobs from No More Heroes. Like, you can customize them a little bit to make them different. Whenever I customize Robin, I always just give him the sad face and the pink hair with like the pink spiky hair. It looks like Yuji from JJK. Which, like, that Robin I don't mind, but like default Robin is whatever. I think they have intentionally bland designs on purpose, because you're supposed to customize them. Sayuri is like a cool sword lady. She doesn't really have any character either, but she's a cool sword lady. She has an A support with Tiki, where she basically just kisses ass, and then gets told by Tiki to stop kissing her ass. But I feel like that's fair for her. I mean, if you could literally meet your world's Jesus Christ, I feel like you'd be a little nice. But what do I know? Severa. Severa's entire thing is that she's mean. Apparently Severa is supposed to be a tsundere, but it doesn't really come across. She's just mean. She's got like an inferiority complex about her mother, which is interesting, I guess. Outfit in Fates had no sauce. I always forget that her, Owain, and Inigo literally got put into another game because of how popular they were. I actually like that one better. Yeah, I think it's cooler. It's also weird Severa had a kid that looked just like her mom. Well, it's, I don't know, same genetics, I guess. It's just funny that she has like this like weird, insane inferiority complex. I guess it's a result of Cordelia, because Cordelia's entire thing is that she's a cuck. So I guess it got passed down to Severa. It's just weird. You would think Lucina would be more like this, considering that Lucina was like the one that was chosen to end agreement and that she couldn't. You would think that Lucina would have all this like guilt and all that, but Lucina just kind of deals with it. So like Severa literally just lives in the shadow of her mom. Is just like a normal person. She has like this insane complex. Stall. Yeah, I don't know. He likes to eat, I guess. That's a quality about him. He's Monkey D. Luffy. Ayo, ayo. His name is Stall. That's Monkey D. Stall. Gonna be king of the calves. His gimmick is that he's bland. It's true. He's average. He does have one... Actually, I can't say that. That's not even a good line. He has one line where he's like, I want to be above average at loving you, when he talks to Muriel. But it's like, I don't know. He looks like a South Park character with his hair. Sully. Hell yeah, she's tough. I dream for the kind of woman that can overpower me easily. I think they even make a comment about the fact that she's got muscular legs. I think Virion says something about her legs. She's got those thighs. Those, like, muscular thunder thighs. She's also got red spiky, like, Naruto hair. Which is cool. Sumia? Yeah, she's, like, kind of S tier. She's, like, the bottom of S tier. Character-wise, she's non-existent. She wants that Crom meat. She's like Vike. But, she just doesn't have a character. But, she's waifu status, so, like, bottom of S tier. It does punch the fuck out of... I forgot about that. I always forget about that scene. When you slap someone, you're supposed to do it with an open palm. I don't know the channel name. But there's this channel that plays through Awakening that I keep up with. And they always read it, and I love the, like, realization and shock in their voice when they realize she just full out punches him directly in the face. It's Cindy's channel, but she spells it, like, with X's and Y's and Z's. Even though it's Sydney. Latiki? Yeah. So I got below church. She can turn into a dragon. I don't think Manicheets are quite it for me. I guess I should have mentioned that with Pan. I'm thinking more about human Pan than Tagwell Pan. But Tiki's whatever. She's kind of boring. She's just kind of like sad about the fact that like everyone she meets is gonna die. I guess if you lived for like thousands of years, that you'd probably be a little bit of a downer about it, a doomer. But Tiki is whatever. Vike looks like Teach just got tenure. I do actually like Vike. As much as I slander him, as much as I make the potential unit meme, as much as I hate that like Vike, or is Vike a better unit than Robin is a discussion, he's goofy. I love that his support with Crom and Longku is literally just that these people don't want to talk to him and he just forces them to train with him. Shout out to Tharja for no particular reasons. I've said it before, Yandere is instant S tier. I did a Pokemon waifu tier list at one point, and the Yandere from Pokemon was up there too. What's her name? Is it Courtney? Is it straight up Courtney? I always forget that Pokemon uses normal ass names for its girls. You got like fucking Sever and Churche and Tharja, all that, and then, but then in Pokemon it's just Courtney. I don't know, man. What do you want me to say about this guy? I will say I always make the joke whenever he dies is that his Fire Emblem fates Birthright, Revolution, and Conquest ends here. You know what? That makes me giggle more than any of these guys. That I make that joke every time. Yarn, like Vike, I kind of like Yarn too. I know I shit on Yarn a lot because he's like the worst unit in the game, low-key, but I do like that the whole thing is just that he's a scaredy cat. It's very relatable. I think if I was in this, if I was in this world, I would probably be like Yarn. I don't know about fighting zombies and like people that can fly on dragons and shit. I think it's kind of normal to be a little frightened. And then Yenfei is raw as hell. He looks like Jetstream Sam. And he's got the Amatsu. He's literally got like the thunder sword that he can throw. Do you have a moment? Only if you vow not to waste my time with insignificant prattle. Yeah. Trying to think here. I think this list is fine. I think Male Robin might be the worst character in the game. I'm trying to think about it. I've had Male Robin S support a few women. Cordelia, Naui, who else? Olivia, Lisa, and he's just completely sauceless. Robin is funnier than Crom. I don't know, man. At least Crom has like the Lord, the Great Lord drip. Robin, as a guy, always looks awkward in Grandmaster. Although that's more to do with the animations of the game. Male mage animations are really weird. You always do that thing where you like wave your hand in the air like you're Bayonetta. It's really weird. You know what, low key. I think Libra can join us. Can join favorites. I like this list. Alright, good list. What other tier lists do I have lined up? I'm starting to lose my voice. Here we go. This is a good one. Skills. I think this should be fine. Skills are easier to organize. Okay. Skills. Oh, my voice is going out. I went like a week and a half without talking. Now I've talked for like 3 hours straight. Skills are really easy to rank because if you're just ranking the skills, you don't necessarily have to take into account the classes they come from, right? Because you can take skills to other classes. They're not like classes where you can only bring other skills to them, but they still have their inherent qualities. I think the only thing to consider for skills is gender lock, right? Because if two good skills are male gender locked, then you have to consider which one is better to pass down. But that's about it, I think. This should be fairly easy. Let's get the easy ones out of the way. If your unit can run these 3 skills, they will always run it. This is why most second-gen units, if you go to the DLC, only basically have 2 or 3 skill slots to actually do something different with. And even then, realistically, most of them have like 1 skill slot to pick something with. I'm going to consider this one more in the context of like going to the DLC and like Apotheosis, like stuff like Future Past, as opposed to the base game. Because in the base game, your unit's individual strengths are more important. Your stats are better. Like, I would rather have... I don't know how to put it, but your stats are more important than your skills in the base game, I feel. The only exception being like Soul. Like in the base game, Soul is like the best skill probably, because it lets any character kind of nos tank. Whereas, like in the harder stuff, you have to use your skills to like accomplish stuff. Real scientific wording. But I do think it's in this order too, I would say. Actually, I'm going to swap Limit Breaker with Aggressor, but I think it's this order. Gale Force isn't a direct increase of stats, but if you can use your stats twice, they've effectively doubled, right? And even outside of that, it doubles your movement range. Even further outside of that, depending on what you want to do with your turn, you effectively have 2 different actions. So, like, if you have Gale Force access, then that means you inherently have Falcon Knight access, if you're a woman. If you're a girl. If you're based. if you're a girl, you have Falcon Knight, so that's staff utility on your second turn. And if you're a guy, you have Aggressor, so that's 2 attacks, which is really important on player phase. Limit Break is 10 to all stats. That's pretty good. Most importantly, speed, but like pushing your offense 10 past is still crazy too. And then Aggressor is just 10 damage if you attack. Like, Aggressor is the reason you do damage sometimes in Apotheosis. Some of those enemies have insane defense. What is this? If it's plus 10. That would be a Void. I'd probably put that in C tier. I already did this, but I forgot what I ranked everything. I have a bad memory. A Void 10 is kind of okay, because it works on player and enemy phase. So, avoiding and diminishing damage when you attack is still important. It's less important than having better attack, but it's still nice. Res plus 10. I think I'd put it a tier higher. If you have enough res, you can completely block out an enemy's attack. Not to mention that resistance impacts, I believe, your chance to dual guard against magical attacks. So not only does this passively buff your resistance when you attack, or when you get attacked, but it also allows you as a support unit to completely negate incoming damage for your partner, which is better. All stats 2 is an easy A tier because it affects speed. Defense, I'd probably put it here for the dual guard benefit. Magic is one of the better ones to buff because it not only affects your offense, but it affects your utility. If you have Magic plus 2, that's 1 tile of rescue range, and that's 2 HP recovered on staff. It's not nothing. And it affects offense. And just for in-game, a lot of units get Magic 2 as mages, which is really nice for early on. Like, Magic 2 is the reason why you can have, like, Riken and Muriels that are doing, like, effectively more damage than your Fred. This is Res plus 2. I'd put it right here. Skill 2? 2% chance to proc Soul. 1% chance to proc Aether. I'm gonna put it here. It affects your dual strike chances, but like pretty minusculely. . I don't know. I guess if I put these here for dual guard, I should probably put this here for dual strike, right? Speed 2 is the most important single boost stat in the game. Speed is directly the most important stat in the game, which we can get to in a second. And then strength 2. Magic is better than strength. In terms of a damage stat that you want to use. Res caps are generally lower than defense caps, and in the base game, res is almost always basically non-existent on a unit compared to its defense. The only exception being, I think, war monks. Also, I think paladins. But for those, you have beast killers, so you basically only have to worry about war monks in the base game. Hit rate 20, I would put that in A tier. I think ideally, you want to be using a combination of skills and a class and weapons that don't need hit rate plus 20. But hit rate 20 does make certain things viable. Hit rate 20 makes using waste viable, which is pretty good if you don't have arms drift, since there's a limited number of Celica Gales in the game. At least without grinding on sparkly spots, which is really annoying. If you have Street Pass, you can just buy Celica Gales, but otherwise they have to last. So you might go to Sorcerer just so you can use Waste. And if you do that, then you want hit rate 20. And Noir has inherent combo with that, because she has Sorcerer from her mother and hit rate 20 from Archer. That's pretty cool. It's pretty epic. Luck 4. It's got its role for in-game. Luck 4 is why Inigo is one of the... has like a really high niche if you do Olivia Crom for an in-game playthrough, because you can stack Luck plus 4 in Rifle King to get infinite arms drift like almost immediately on Inigo. And when you can use your weapons infinitely, you can forge him crazy stuff. And you can like use Leaf's Blade to get a crazy amount of money off Inigo and keep forging him crazier stuff. HP plus 5. It's like the worst of these defensive ones. Actually, dual strikes are better. Yeah, because it doesn't affect your dual guard, but having more HP is always good. This is Acrobat. Warrior, Wizard, Ranger, and Acrobat. Acrobat kind of cheeks. I can't think of a unit that would use Acrobat. That's really the big thing that I can't think of, right? Is like, if you're gonna run Acrobat, what unit runs it? What unit has so few skill slots they have to run Acrobat? And it's like, maybe Pan? But like, Pan isn't the best unit, so I don't know. You think like Vike, but like, I don't know, like, he's got crit abilities, he's got HP abilities, he's got Death Spoil, he's got Axe Fair and Wrath, he's got Counter, he's got a Rally Strength, which is kind of useful. He's got Soul and Axe Breaker, and he's got like, I guess not Lethality, he's got like Pass, which is arguably better. Actually, it's not arguable, I think it's just better. He's got Movement 1. Like, any unit that gets this gets all the other abilities of, like, Thief and, by extension, Assassin. Or just has strictly better options. Like, Movement 1 is generally better than Acrobat. Generally, right? I think it's going to go in D tier. I don't know a unit that uses Acrobat. Olivia would, but Olivia doesn't get it. Anathema is A tier, but it's mostly because it's outclassed. It would be S tier, but there are skills that just, well, no, S tier. Because the skills that outclass it aren't as available, or some units only get Anathema, where some units get the skills that outclass it. Avoid -10 for all enemies is good. You just get to hit enemies more consistently. Also, it takes crit avoid, so for the base game and some enemies, this is just +10 crit. That's pretty good. This is one of the best skills if you're doing an unpromoted run. You can combine it with things like Gamble and Zeal to get like 30 extra crit. Like, you can combine certain unpromoted skills together to get like 30 extra crit, and then combine that with like a support and then a killing edge, and you're at like 70 crit. It's really crazy. Arms Drift. In the context of the DLC, Arms Drift is almost worthless, but it does have some use even in the case of the DLC. A map like Apotheosis is so big that your weapons not breaking is a genuine factor. I almost ran out of weapons when I did Apotheosis, like on Lucina, because of Dual Strike Plus. So it is something to actually consider. I think that's nice. It can also help you preserve weapons that are really tough to find, like Celica's Gale. Or some of the unique weapons. And if you have Arms Drift, so all your weapons are full strength, and you don't have to worry about constantly doing the Golden Gaff and reforging new weapons. It can help for really rare drops too, like the Volant Axe. I like using that one with Forged Might and Hit and Arms Drift so that it doesn't break. Kind of come around to Astra. Now on Lunatic Plus, Astra is really bad because like most enemies can, actually all enemies can just randomly have counter. And if you ever attack an enemy with Astra, you're dead. But on normal hard difficulty and in some of the DLC areas, Astra is just like a delete button. If you trigger Astra with anything that has a chance to crit, you basically just destroy your opponent. It's even useful in Apotheosis. Like, it doesn't trigger that often, right? So that's why it's not good. So it's not up here. But the damage output is unmatched, and you don't use your Astra option in 1-2 range against a or 1 range against a counter enemy. Even in Apotheosis, you really should not be getting hit on enemy phase unless you're just bad, right? Like, I was bad. I took a gamble, and I relied on Cynthia not hitting a dual strike that they didn't hit. So that's what cost me some of my units on that map. Right? But, like, a better player could just play the situation differently. And, not having Astra, I think, did get me a kill on that map. So I don't think Astra's bad at all. It just procs too inconsistently. You would need, like, Rightful King to make Astra, like, really good. Beastbane... Pan's bad. And Wormbane... Manakite form is kind of bad. Let's be honest. I think this has more application than this. No, it doesn't. You would never keep Pan integral. Indoor Fighter is hit and avoid +10, and it works on player and enemy phase. But it's only while you're indoors. But interestingly, the game considers whether you're indoors or outdoors on a tile basis, not a map basis. I actually learned this watching someone else do a skills tier list. That's like the craziest lore I would never have known about if I didn't know that. Because originally I thought that this skill literally became worthless after Chapter 23. Because 24, 25, and Green are all outdoors, right? But apparently that's not how that's considered indoor. Which I think stacks with forts. And on maps like Dueling Grounds, the like area you start on is considered outdoors, but then you move indoors. Okay. It's really weird. But hit and avoid is nice. But you are outdoor and on the harder maps you are more outdoors than indoors, like on Apotheosis. Let's be real though, you're not taking this to Apotheosis. Bond? Anyone can get it if you're a girl. It's a nice support thing. Bowbreaker has like the most application of the breaker skills, I think, because of the fact that Cordelia can get it and she's a flyer. You can also get Kel to get it and she has Wyvern. So you can get your flyers to get Bowbreaker, and then not only are they more accurate against enemy archers, which is nice for letting them hit and then take them out on player phase, but it means they actually have a chance to just ignore their flying weakness. And because of the way the math works in this game, if it gets below 50 and it's not just 50, they basically are not going to hit you. Your skills aren't S because in Apotheosis and on Lunatic Plus, enemies just have Hawkeye, which just disables dodge. So, but I do think this is one of the better breaker skills. Swordbreaker, I think, is the worst of the breaker skills. It does have an interesting application though, in that the Manacute units you get all have Wormslayer weakness, so you can effectively use this to cancel that out. However, consider using units that don't have inherent Wyvern weakness. Yeah. So yeah, you can. I run this on non Naui and Tiki, but like you could just use better units. The Lancebreaker also similarly has the application of removing Beast Killer weaknesses, which is more widespread because of the fact that if you, for instance, have a Kjell that gets Wyvern and Fire access, you could grab a Lancebreaker and then stay as a Falcon Knight, I guess? And then instead of Bowbreaker, you run this to avoid Beast Killers. I don't know what you're cooking, but it's interesting. Axebreaker. What units get Axebreaker that would run Armor Knight? Armor Knight in general is bad, so I don't really care about getting rid of Hammer weakness. Yeah, it's probably like the least of these. And then Tonebreaker is the next best one because it gets rid of your flying weakness for air tomes, and then it gets rid of enemy dark mages, which is really useful because you don't want to get hit with waste, like Vengeance Waste or Mire. This is really nice for Mire areas. Quick Burn is 20 hit and avoid for the first 7 turns. No, it's 15 hit and avoid, and it goes down 1 point a turn for 15 turns. I was thinking of Lucky 7. This is just better than these for the first 5 turns of the map. I'd probably put it like next to Swordbreaker. Probably slightly better. Slow Burn is the exact opposite. I would put it probably above them. It is +1 hit and avoid that increases by 1 until it hits 15 at turn 15, and then it goes away. They both go away at turn 16. So if the turn count is bigger than 16, these both effectively do nothing, which is kind of important in like some of the paralogs and stuff that are slower paced. But you can also combine them to get 15 hit and avoid for 15 turns. But why do that when you could use Lucky 7? +20 hit and avoid for 7 turns. Half the time, 33% stronger impact. But hey, that impact is stronger. This is Charm. This is +5 hit and avoid for all allies within 3 radius. Notably, it's on Chrom and Lucina, and Chrom is one of the best support units in the game. I actually think this is pretty good. Now, I think that for some of the harder maps, this is a less noticeable boost, for sure. But you also got to consider that Chrom has this from level 10. This will probably let you dodge things the entire game. You'll probably get multiple dodges and multiple hits you wouldn't have with this skill. Just because of the sheer length of time you have it. It also works passively, so while Crown is backpacking, this is effective. Which kind of makes it better than something like Lucky 7, which is only if you're the actual attacking unit. Also, notably, breaker skills work from the back, I believe. Counter, bad. I should note, counter and lethality get disabled by Dragon Skin. Dragon Skin prevents the effects of counter or lethality from triggering. But unlike lethality, which I think would actually be a decent skill if that didn't exist, I think counter is just bad. And it's because it doesn't work on player phase offense or enemy phase sweeping. Like, either way, counter doesn't work. If you're going for player phase offense, you're not getting hit, and if you're going for enemy phase sweeping, then you're using HP recovery. And at that point, you can't recover as much HP if counter hits them back. So counter is like worthless. It exists so that enemies can have it, and you have to play around it. Aegis and Pavis are like with the breaker skills. I think Aegis is slightly better because your units will have noticeably worse resistance than defense. But Aegis could be argued to be better because there's more physical weapons and enemies in the game. I would personally put them in this order though. The fact that they're proc skills but they're defensive kind of makes them worse than the breaker skills. Demoiselle. Plus 10 hit and avoid and 3 range with charm, but it's only for men. Double the effect, but significantly worse target. We're gonna make a special tier. Maybe it's, yeah, let's make it bright pink. No! Ah! Get off there. It's like too bright. That's better. This is like for not combat skills. All these are S tier. When you're not fighting. I think that's pretty fair. Obviously, these do nothing for you in a fight, but like that's not the point of them. So I don't think it's really fair to judge them on the same basis. The entire point is that they're good to do things other than fighting. You can't open a chest without lock touch unless you have the door keys, which is why it's the bottom. You don't have infinite money in the base game without Death Spoil or Leaves Blade, which just gives you Death Spoil. And then you want stats, and then you want raw levels because levels are stats and skills. It's pretty simple. Iod's Shield. I would consider this in the bad tier. For a few reasons. So for one, you still take the damage. Like, this doesn't mean you don't take damage from bows. You still get hit. And against something like the Apotheosis enemies, they have Luna Plus and Hawkeye. So it still fucking hurts when they hit you. For two, maybe just be in a class that doesn't have weaknesses. 3, maybe just position your unit so they don't get hit by enemies that they're weak to. And 4, just use Bowbreaker. Bowbreaker not only kind of eliminates your flying weakness, sorta, but like it also lets you hit more accurately. So if you're gonna be something like a Wyvern or a Griffin that's already kind of inaccurate because of your axes, Bowbreaker is better. Because you're not only then dodging the hits that you're weak to, but you're also landing your sluggers more aggressively. However, I think there's a case to be made that it should be in the like non-combat utility. Like, it's a training skill, right? You equip it when you want to train your flyer on Limit Breaker 3 or Lost Bloodlines 3, right? So I think it has like out of combat utility in the fact that it's like a grinding thing, but not, I don't know. I think that's just me trying to be very generous to it. Because obviously if you're just grinding, you could equip like your defense 2 and rest 2 and HP 5. Right? You could equip like slow burn, quick burn if you're grinding that map. So I don't know. I think it's just bad. Underdog. It's only on Donald and his child. By default, it makes it the worst one in the game. Because like, if you're using Donald at either A, it doesn't do shit. Or it doesn't matter, because you're Donald and you're chatting through the main game. You can manipulate this in the late game, though, because once you and all your enemies are promoted, you can manipulate it so that you reset your level to level 1 every time you go into a map, and then you're always counted as being weak. So it's like, it's low-key kind of just better than Quick Burn, but it requires so much effort that I don't genuinely think it is. This one is Dual Strike Plus, easy S tier. If Dual Strike Plus was on anyone other than Chrom and Lucina, it would be mandatory. I kind of think it is. I honestly don't see you running a Lucina that doesn't have Dual Strike Plus, or a Chrom that doesn't have Dual Strike Plus. It's a really powerful skill. The problem is that it's just on 2 people. Aggressor is on every guy, Gale Force is on most girls, and Limit Breaker is everyone. I guess logically, though, the 2 units... Yeah, actually it's mandatory. Because, like, the 2 units that always have Ignis kind of want to run it. So I guess I would consider it the same with Dual Strike Plus. Sorry, I got a text. Let me respond to this. Sorry, sorry I don't ignore people because I stream. I should just tell them to fuck off. I run a niche YouTube channel that has 600 subscribers. I'm too busy for you, you pawn. You're a pawn in the game of chess that is life. Sorry about that. I get these mixed up. This is a defender, right? Yeah, that's dual guard and support. So this... What is this one? I've never seen this one. This one's defender. It's +1 to all stats when you're in a pair up. It's okay. I'm not joking, by the way. That's the effect. Yeah, if you're not playing with the DLC, 1 speed is something. I don't know, man. It's just such a small effect. But, like, 1 point of speed can get you over a threshold to double an enemy, which is, like, the most important thing. So it's worth something, I guess. It's very limited, though. It's only on people that have Cavalier access, so... In terms of units that you're using it for in the late game, it's like Chrom, Lucina... Which I guess is fine for them, because they're, like, the like, dual strike units, right? So they'll always have partners. Kjell, and whoever you made Stahl's kid. And maybe Frederick's kid. I don't know. But, like... I don't know. Kel has probably 5 better skills to run. Whoever you make Stahl's kid is running like Luna and Gale Force, probably. And then like maybe Aggressor and Defender. Yeah, it's a little outclassed. This is Dual Guard Plus. I think I'd put this in low S tier. Chance to just completely negate all incoming damage. That literally just bails you out in Apotheosis. And Dual Support Plus. It's Anathema, but better, but on less units. Dual Support Plus gives you an extra stage of bonuses to the support bonus, which, assuming that you have an A or F support, effectively means that you're getting... I might have the numbers wrong, but I believe it's 10 hit, 10 crit, 10 crit avoid, and 10 avoid. So it's essentially like you stack Anathema, Solidarity, and like Patience whenever you're on player or enemy phase. That's a pretty good set of bonuses, but I feel like it's tough to get it on characters that you want to use it on. Thankfully, Jerome and Laurent, who are the strongest physical and magic support in the game, both get access to this from their parents. That's nice. I used it on my Jerome Kjell because I had my Kjell all focused on defense, and then Jerome as a support that was entirely focused on offense. So when he had Dual Support Plus, it made her even more accurate and dodgy, which was nice. I really don't know what this one is. Axe Fair. One of the better fairs. Actually, I think the fairs are going to go in S. Except for Sword Fair. Yeah, Sword Fair will go there. The only real advantage swords have is that they have weapon triangle advantage against axes, which you do fight some dangerous axe enemies in Apotheosis, but I don't know, in general I think that axes are just better. Axes have the Volant Axe for flying weaknesses, and then the Hammer for Armor Knight weaknesses. You have the Brave Axe, which has more damage than the sword, and when you're getting damage reduced as much as you are in like Apotheosis and like some of the tougher DLC, that's kind of more significant than just being weapon triangle advantaged. And fair skills work from the back. That's the reason they're so good. So when you have a skill like Luna, right, it only works if you're the player unit and you're attacking an enemy. Axe Fair works from the back. So if you have like Severa who has Luna and Axe Fair, if she's attacking, she can trigger Luna, which will stack with Axe Fair. But if she's in the back and she attacks, she still gets the bonus from Axe Fair, which is pretty massive. Because like, if you have someone like Lucina, who has guaranteed dual strikes, paired with someone who has multiple fairs, or just a fair in the skill they care about, that's just guaranteed 5 extra damage a hit, right? Which in Apotheosis is 2, but like that's kind of significant still. Although I don't know if fair skills get their damage reduced by Dragon Skin. I'm not sure. Either way though, the fact that they work on dual strike and player attack, like main attack, is still good. I think Tome Fair has the best application of all of them because not only does it affect your combat, it affects your utility. Staff users get the boost to their staffs with Tome Fair. So if you have a unit like Lisa who gets Tome Fair and then she's using a staff to rescue, that's 2 tiles, and that's 5 HP on heal. Fortify is limited, so that's not actually inconsequential. Psychic is like your best staff for long range healing because you have a limited Fortify. Bow Fair would be next because longbows exist, and then I think Lance Fair would be the next best because of distribution. All your Gale Forcers have lances, so it kind of becomes more important than Axe Fair. And then Sword Fair is just the worst because swords kind of suck. You have like Ragnell and Levin swords, but most sword users don't really have magic, and there's only one Ragnell, I think. Maybe you can grind infinite regalia for Ragnells, but I don't remember. Aether, I would say, is like an S tier proc skill. All of them in a row. Because they are all the same. All the ones that are in S tier, anyways. Well, they're not the same, but I want to get over them. Talk about them. So Ignis, when you attack, if you trigger Ignis, then you combine half of your secondary attacking statistic to your primary one. Sounds confusing, but it's really simple. You have 40 strength, 40 magic, and you attack with a tome, and you do Ignis, you add 20 strength. So you end up with a damage of 60. Sounds kind of non-consequential, inconsequential, but you gotta consider this is specifically on Robin and Morgan, who, thanks to Veteran and having all the classes they want, actually consistently max out their strength and magic, right? And with something like Limit Breaker, this is like 25 extra damage on an attack. Keep in mind that the highest defense addition you get from Luna, which is just enemy defense divided by 2, is like 30, right? And that's the highest, whereas you're consistently getting like 25 from Ignis. Like, yes, on an Armor Knight, and maybe some of those like limit broken defense monsters from Apotheosis, a few of them Luna's better, but Igna is more consistent. Not only in base game, but DLC, and it's good in Apotheosis too. Aether is Soul and then Luna, so it's the Brave effect from a weapon, and it combines the effects of Soul, which gives you the HP you deal and damage back, half the damage you deal back in HP, and then Luna, which halves the enemy's defense, or res. So for Aether, for instance, the biggest application of Aether is that you attack twice consecutively, just like the Brave weapon, but it can trigger on a Brave attack. So if you're attacking with Lucina and you hit an Aether, and you were going to hit 4 times, you hit the Soul, you hit the Luna, you hit again, the enemy attacks, and then you hit again and hit again. You get 5 attacks. And one of them is Soul, which is a good skill. And you can trigger this multiple times. You can get 4 Aethers off on a Brave attack if you're just lucky. You're not likely to, because Aether is skill divided by 2, not skill. So the highest Aether chances you're getting are like 40 something with a Rightful King. It's not consistent, but it's good. Keep in mind that Ignis is usually probably only like a 50% damage buff. Aether is just straight up double because you hit twice. But I still think Ignis is better. I think Robin and Morgan make better use of Ignis than Chrom and Lucina do out of Aether. I don't know, Chrom and Robin don't really care about running proc skills, TBH. Because they want to be support units or rally bots for the tougher stuff. Gamble! Let's go gambling. Crits fall off in utility when you get into the higher tier stuff. So a crit in Fire Emblem Awakening is 3 times the damage if you crit. And crits can be influenced by Gamble, which is crit plus 5? Or is it... I think it's crit plus 10, and you're 10% less accurate too. Not a good trade-off, especially not in the like higher tier areas where enemies have breaker skills and Apotheosis where enemies have like max speed to evade. Gamble is pretty bad. Your next option is Zeal, which is HP, which is crit plus 5, but you have no downside. In general, it's worse. 5% is negligible. But if you're doing a base game unpromoted run, stack these and you'll get crazy killing edge crits. And then Wrath. Wrath is by far the best of the three. It's 20 crit if you're at 50 HP or less. Now this sounds bad, but you can combine it with Vantage Vengeance for really high crit builds. I tried to make this work with Noir. I ran Vantage, Vengeance, Wrath, and Ruin, but it just doesn't... Just run offensive procs with Waste. Sorry. it's way better. But it's there. It's kind of fun. Oh, it's definitely fun. This is not very good. What are the other crit abilities? Focus? Focus is the worst one by far. It's 10 crit, but you have to be away 3 tiles away from any adjacent allies, which this doesn't count your support partner if you're paired up, but in general, it's such a negligible effect for such a strict requirement, right? And then finally, Solidarity, which is, I would say, better. I think you're way more likely to be next to allies to trigger Solidarity than otherwise. The issue with Solidarity and why it's not higher, even though I think this is honestly a decent effect, is because it's on Tactician, so it means you would have to run it on your Morgan or Robin. Your Robin should probably be a rally bot, and your Morgan should be an all-out attacker. You shouldn't have this. But for the main game, this is really useful. Heal Touch. Like the worst of like the plus stat things because it gives you HP when you heal. Hex. Worse Anathema. It's avoid minus 15, but only if you're adjacent. I'd rather have 10 on all enemies, but still does something. Lethality. I think Lethality, if we are evaluating for in-game and DLC without Apotheosis, I think it would be like better than Wrath. Yeah, better than Wrath, because yeah, better than Wrath. Because it's essentially the same idea. If you're trying to go for a crit, you're trying to go for 3 times damage. Because that massive 3 times damage in most cases is enough to just one-shot an enemy. And that's what you're going for with Lethality, except Lethality is kind of low-key easier because you don't have to stack different crit bonuses. You don't have to like run Zeal and Gamble and then run Solidarity on another character just to get that chance. You can just run Lethality and you just have a chance. And you can quadruple attack enemies. Like with a Brave weapon, if you double them naturally in speed, you hit 4 times. That's 4 chances to just instantly delete them if you don't kill them with the Brave weapon. But it gets completely disabled in Apotheosis, so. LM. This would be Life Taker. Life Taker is strange. Life Taker technically has really good distribution. Every mage and Dark Mage has access to Dark Knight. That is, just off the top of my head, that's easily more than half the cast. The issue with it is that it's player phase only, and essentially if you defeat an enemy, you get 50% of your health back. Theoretically, with Gale Force, this means that you always end every turn at 100% health, but that doesn't really matter. If you're fighting tough enemies, they're like, 2 of them are killing you. Otherwise, they're not enough of a threat that you need this, and you'd be better off with something like Soul or Nos tanking, which work on enemy phase. Really, it's the player phase requirement that drags us down. If this was every kill, I think it would be different. Even then, it would still probably be worse than Soul and Nos tanking. Because Nosferatu always gives you health back, even if you don't kill the enemy. Same with Soul. And, like, you can always just run enough staff users to, like, just heal your injured teammates at the end of a turn. So there's not even really that much application for it. I'm trying really hard to think, but I can't think of an actual application for a Life Taker. Miracle. It's kind of niche. I mean, you use it before you have better skills, right? It's kind of interesting. There's like a gimmick idea where you can combine it with counter and just like kick a fucking enemy, but like you could also just be durable enough to not take that much damage and then kill them. You know, you have that. I mean, in-game, it might be one of the better things you can pass to Elaine from Lisa, because she's like pre-stocked. I don't know. It's like the worst of these defensive options. Movement 1, good stat, good stat. I'd probably wedge it between magic and movement allows you to perform more actions. Which is kind of why magic is better than strength, because it also affects like your staff utility, but movement allows you to attack enemies or perform close range or long range staff uses. Movement. Actions. Sorry, I'm getting tired. Relief is plus 20% HP if you're away 3 tiles from your allies. This is also pretty bad. It's actually worse than focus. Because focus is offensive, so it's fine. It can still trigger when enemies are around, because otherwise you couldn't crit with it. But relief only works if no units are around, allies or enemies. So significantly worse. There's very few cases where you'll ever see this trigger. Tantivity is the exact same, but it works when enemies are around. It's hit in 10 when no allies are around. No, it's pretty rare too. Conqueror is bad. Being a class that doesn't have like 3 weaknesses. Shadow Gift. Problem with Shadow Gift is that you can only get it on Aversa and Morgan. And like, do something different with your Morgan. Celica's Gale is better than Waste, and Nos tanking falls off. Mire's okay. You can do 10 damage to an Apotheosis enemy. But you should use your Morgan for something more than 10 damage. Because you're limited on turns in Apotheosis. You have to do it quickly to get the secret battles, and then at a certain point you only have 10 turns left. So you can't stall chip with this. But still, it would be Morgan getting it, so it's better than default by all these. Pass? Pass is actually useful, it's a movement tool. Being able to move through enemies and attack a weaker one is actually more relevant than just being able to move through terrain. The problem is, it's just like a lot of units don't get past that one hit. Like, I think Olivia wants this so that you can dance an enemy that's like surrounded. Or if an enemy would otherwise obstruct you to the dance. And Olivia is like the best user of pass, but generally not really. It doesn't come up like you would think. And it's just because enemies never attack you in waves where you could use pass. once you have it. Because, like, I'm thinking this is level 15 Assassin. You're not getting this until, like, probably Valm. And by that point, you don't fight enemies in cluster formations the same way. Not really. Not even really in the DLC either. I mean, the DLC is just giant, enormous maps filled with dozens of enemies. Like, it just doesn't really do much there. Because it's more about getting to a fort and staying there. But it does have its applications as a movement tool. This is Prescience. This is plus 15 hit and avoid on player phase. That's something. And this is Patience. Plus 10 hit and avoid on enemy phase. Obviously, Prescience is better for... which would be like higher difficulties in the DLC. But by that point, you have better options. So it's kind of worse. Whereas Patience actually has good in-game utility because of soul taking. Renewal, it's relief, but 30%, and it has no activation requirement. It's going right beside Bond. Most of your tanks don't really need renewal. I've run renewal on NOS tanks before in the base game, and it's really fun. It just gives them an extra layer of protection, but you don't really need this. You'd rather have Soul or Nosferatu, and by the time you get to the tougher stuff, 30% doesn't really matter. You either use an elixir or you get healed. But it's still got its applications. Even in Odd Rhythm are 10 hit and avoid, but only on every other turn. You can say whatever you want about how this is up to your positioning, but it's low-key not really up to your control. Enemy maps start off in certain positions with enemies that will attack you on the first turn if you don't kill them. So you don't really get to pick and choose when you attack. Soul. Soul is hindered in the post-game by a lot of enemies just being too bulky to damage. The method for killing a lot of like DLC and high tier enemies are just stacking brave weapons on dual strikes with other brave weapons. Which means that none of your individual hits are doing all the damage. So you're never going to get that much back from Soul. And that's before you get to Apotheosis, where the enemies have dragon skin, which just flatly halves damage you do. So you're just never getting that much damage from Soul, like to heal. But in the base game, it's unmatched, I think. I think it's arguably better than Nosferatu tanking, because it stacks with Nos tanking, and it works on any other weapon type. So hand axes and javelins too. Special Dance is basically just your dancer getting a buff when they dance to your allies. It's 2 strength, 2 magic, 2 defense, 2 res. That's good. And you already want to be dancing, so. And then Vantage allows you to move first if you're at half health. This and Vengeance form the Vantage-Vengeance combo. The goal is to get below half health, and then because Vengeance is your damage that's been accrued divided by 2, it's just a flat 20% damage bonus if you're at half health, but you always move first, which means that once you've activated it, even if you get attacked on enemy phase, you're moving first and attacking the enemy and killing them in one hit. 20 extra damage is good, but it's just not enough. You would have to get lower. You would have to like specifically knock yourself down to like 10 or so HP for this to be able to work. Like to get enough damage for this to be securing you kills. Like Ignis is just better for like adding damage. Obviously everyone doesn't have Ignis, but then like Luna is more consistent. Because Luna's getting you like 10 to 30. So I guess on the lower end Luna isn't as much, but on the higher end Luna is more consistent. Because you'd have to get severely damaged for Vengeance to be better than Luna. Not to mention that it requires 2 skill slots to make it work. You can just run Luna. Oh, and I forgot to explain Rightful King earlier. It just makes it so that your proc skills are 10% more likely to hit. So. Next up are all the rallies. These all go in S tier because you can stack them, and when you activate a rally with multiple rallies equipped, they all go off. So if you have a unit that has rally defense and rally speed, you don't have to rally for each one, you just hit rally, and they get the 4 to defense and the 4 to speed. So ranking these, Heart is all stats +2 and +1 to movement, which is only worse than Rally Spectrum because it's 4 speed. Followed by speed. Speed is the most important stat. Followed by strength. Magic is better than strength. Skill affects your procs. Movement is your movement. Resistance and defense are your dual guard chance. And luck does a little bit of everything. It finds a way. But yeah, that's skills. I do have to go. I thought I had more time today, but I don't. I'm going to work on editing down my Apotheosis run. Hopefully I'll post it soon. Bye-bye.